Good evening and welcome to the February 2nd, 2026 meeting of the City of Summit Zoning Board of Adjustment. My name is Scott Leggett. I'm the Zoning Board Chair. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In accordance with New Jersey Statute 10:4-10, adequate notice of this special meeting has been provided to a newspaper record and has been posted here in City Hall. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. For the benefit of the interested public, this meeting is being live streamed on the city's YouTube page. It's also broadcast on some of its government channels, which is Comcast 34, Verizon Channel 30. Transcript of this meeting is also being taken using video and audio, so we need all speakers to utilize one of the microphones in the room. Please note that the fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room where you entered. The city has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system at the dais and return it thereafter. Before we call the roll, we're going to swear in one of our board members tonight.
All right. Mr. Malay, if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
Ayman Navid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of
that
the
I will
United
support
States
the United States
and the Constitution of the
and
State of New Jersey,
Constitution for which it stands,
and that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the government established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully
impartially,
and impartially
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
as a member of the zoning board
as a member of the zoning board
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Mr. Malay. And with that, Ms. Sands, can you please call the roll of members?
Vice Chair Zahn?
Here.
Mr. Yuko?
Here.
Mr. Malay?
Yes.
Mr. Mullen is excused. Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Curran?
Here.
Ms. Chifo?
Here.
Mr. Feskins? Mr. Chanchuli?
Here.
Mr. Bell?
Here.
Chairman Licketts.
Here.
You have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sands. Andy Ball is the zoning board's attorney. Mr. Ball advises the board members on matters of law and is the key interface with the applicant's attorney. Mr. Ball does not vote on these applications. Jessica Sands is a city employee and is the zoning board secretary. The board secretary works with the applicants on preparing their applications, planning our agendas, keeping our meeting minutes. The board secretary also does not vote. Also present are experts who are hired annually by the board to provide input. Tonight we have Marie Raffet from Collier's Engineering. Also present is Ed Snikes from Burgess Associates, and he's our board planner. These experts are seated at the table to the right of the board, the public's left. They also do not vote on these applications. Our board consists of 7 regular members and up to 4 alternates. All members can participate in the hearings tonight, but only a maximum of 7 can vote. Most applications require a simple majority to be approved. Before we enter into executive session to vote on the applications, you'll be advised as how many votes are required for approval. Each case will begin with the applicants or their attorney giving an overview of the application process to date, the variances that are required. We then hear from any additional expert witnesses the applicant may have to help explain the application and why these variances are needed. The board experts, followed then by the board members, may ask questions of the applicant, their attorney, and their expert witnesses. Due to recent cases running excessively long, we strongly encourage applicants and their experts to give brief and concise testimony so we may get to as many cases as possible in a given evening. Once the board members and then the board professionals have completed their questioning, the public will have an opportunity to ask their own questions. This is not the time to tell us what you think about this case. That opportunity comes at the end of the hearing. Please be careful as how you phrase your questions. They should not be preceded with a statement about the case, but should be a direct question to the witness. Also, before you ask your questions, we ask that you please clearly state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address. It's important that our court reporter be able to keep a clear and accurate public record. After all the witnesses have been heard, members of the audience have their second opportunity to speak. At that time, you may express your opinion, positive or negative, about the application. Then the public hearing is closed, and we enter into executive session. This is where the board members discuss the case and then vote. You will be able to listen in to our executive session, but will not normally be able to participate in our discussion. I'm going to ask now that each applicant and their attorney, if present, come up and give a brief synopsis of the anticipated testimony tonight, including the number of witnesses and whether or not they can finish their presentation within 30 minutes. So with that, if I could hear from the team for 19 Ridge Road.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. James Weber of Alfonso and Weber on behalf of Ravi and Goda and through their trusts on 19 Ridge Road. This is a carried application. It had been adjourned in order to allow the attorney for the neighbors, the Zobitzes, to have an opportunity to review the application. That delay has been fruitful. The applicants and the Zobitzes have been able to come to a conclusion with regard to the design of the pool and the greenhouse. So where the pool was facing the Zobitzes and the greenhouse was internal, now the greenhouse is external and the pool has been brought inside. The Zobitzes, through their attorney, Aileen Brennan, find that acceptable. They have looked at the landscape plan. They find that acceptable as well. They did have a condition that there's a hedgerow along the common lot line that they wish to leave undisturbed, and the retaining wall that's along the common lot line, which has fallen into disrepair, to be either repaired or replaced. And all of this is fine with Ravi and Goda as well. But what it does for the board is presents a change in the footprint. We do have Dave Rosen here tonight, and Mr. Rosen can address several of the variances that are specific to the building, such as the average building height, the highest to lowest building height, and the accessory building height as well? Yes. And the accessory building height. So we can get those variances addressed for the board without having to go into the plan revision, which will be necessary to adjust for the switching of those two accessory uses. We also have a request for interpretation, which I've discussed with Mr. Ball, and perhaps we can do a little housekeeping with regard to that.
Excellent, Mr. Weber. So we'll try and get through as much testimony tonight as possible, with the understanding that you're going to come back to us with that revised plan, and then we'll have a final vote.
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Weber. Next, can I hear from representatives for 45 Prospect Hill Avenue?
James Weber of Alfonso and Weber. I have Ms. Alfonso here as well, and this is on behalf of the Gelbans, Ricky and Stephanie Gelban at 45. The board had granted us an adjournment in order to allow the architect, engineers to address the building coverage. They've eliminated the building coverage variance. This is a steep slope variance at this point. We expect 2 witnesses, 45 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Weber. Our third application tonight, 19 Oxbow Lane. Do we have a representative for that application? Thank you.
Alexandra Kilby. I live there. Okay. And we are just looking, we are renovating our house, and we are moving, we're trying to extend an existing wall that is, that the house was built in 1950, and we're just trying to extend forward on a wall that is an existing wall, which right now is a little bit too close to the property edge.
Understood.
So just kind of trying to build forward.
Do you have any expert witnesses tonight?
Our architect unfortunately couldn't make it at the last minute, so it's just
Okay.
us.
All right, so you're going to cosplay as architect tonight. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. And then finally, do we have a representative for 175 Oak Ridge?
And Mr. Chairman, I know it's listed on the agenda. They did formally withdraw that application, so I would not anticipate anyone here tonight for that this evening.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so with that, Mr. Weber, you're back up. Start with 19 Ridge Road.
By way of background, 19 Ridge Road is a 115-year-old home that's being improved with an addition to allow for the construction of an attached garage. The building and the proposed improvements require several variances: building coverage, lot coverage, building height, highest to lowest building height, and height for the accessory greenhouse. Also, because it's a corner property, the requirements in a corner property for accessory structures require double the front yard setback. So 35 is required, they're at 70 feet is the requirement, and we're not quite certain because we're waiting for those plans that we've worked out with the Zobitzes to come in. A steep slope variance is also required, and the driveway width in front of the home has been expanded to allow for ease of access. If you give me a second, I'm just making sure that I've named all the variances associated with the application. So, as the board has heard in the introduction, the Zobitzes have, it's Elizabeth and Ted Zobitz, represented by Aileen Brennan. There have been discussions and negotiations that have gone on, and their concerns have been addressed by a planned revision. We just concluded this today, so I appreciate the board's patience in hearing us tonight. I have Mr. Rosen here, and I have Ravi and Goda also, so perhaps we can have Ravi come up just to introduce himself and his wife and the application, and then we can move into Dave Rosen.
Sounds good?
I would ask that Ravi be called to the stand to be sworn in to give testimony in this matter.
All right, if you could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name, spell your last name.
Ravi Dattatreya, DattatreyA.
Thank you.
Welcome. Can you please tell us a little bit about your project?
Thank you so much. We've been living in Summit for about almost 46 years, I think. So it was quite a long time. We have made it our home, and we love the city, and we want to continue to live here for as long as we can. Our house is actually a little bit older than 115. It was built in 1903, I think. So that makes it 123 years old. And we've done everything possible to retain the character of the house. One of the interesting things is that we talked to a number of architects and contractors. Everybody says it's more easy to build a new house than to fix an old house. But our memories, and also our children's memories, and now our grandkids' memories are all in the house. We don't want to demolish it. We want to retain it, save it, preserve it, and enhance it. So that is that's today's project. I think our architect can tell a little bit more about this idea of preservation, extension. I would like him to say a few words.
Well,
Couple more.
If you have any questions, I would like to answer them.
yes, we'll just check to see if anyone has questions first. Board experts, do you have any questions for this witness?
Not for this one.
No questions. All right, great. Board, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you so much.
Seeing, okay, thank you.
One point, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Ravi, you're authorized to speak on behalf of the two trusts that are the actual owners and applicants here.
Yes, I'm the trustee of, there are two trusts who own it 50% each. I'm the trustee of one of the trusts, and my wife is the trustee of the other trust, and I'm speaking on behalf of both of the trusts.
Thank you.
excellent. Thank you.
I would ask that Dave Rosen be called to the stand be sworn in to give testimony in this matter.
And before we do that, are there any members of the public who have questions for the prior witness? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Of course. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name.
Dave Rosen, R-O-S-E-N. I'm a partner in Rosen Kelly Conway Architects.
And I'll note for the record, you've appeared before us a number of times, including very recently. Any changes to your credentials since the last time you were
Nope,
here?
still good.
I imagine we'll accept you back once again.
We will. Welcome back, Mr. Rose.
Thank you. Give me just a second while I get this. There we go. This is just an image of the current, well, I'll say before we started any renovations on the existing house. That's on the top, and the finished proposed is on the bottom. So we have kind of an interesting situation this evening, because as of about 3 o'clock, our plans changed with regard to an agreement through the attorneys for the neighbor that Jim has mentioned, Mr. and Mrs. Zobitz, who lived downhill, the adjacent house on Fernwood. It doesn't change anything that's in this view. It doesn't change anything on the house. But as Jim mentioned, we're going to make some adjustments to the plan, the site plan, and in particular, as Jim mentioned, the plan that we had submitted had the pool the farthest to the north. That's the farthest to the downhill side, closest to Mr. and Mrs. Zobitz's property, and not only their house, but their deck. The location was conforming with regard to the side, but they had some concerns, and after the discussion, which took place, the resolution was today, but in the 6 weeks that we had since we were originally scheduled to come here, there have been some opportunities for us to modify the plan, recognize their concerns, and so we're in a good spot right now. But it means that some of the statistics with regard to the site plan, some of the drainage things, steep slope calculations, the variances for the distance from Fernwood Road to the greenhouse and to the pool may not be accurate. All we have is we have a drawing that was already entered as A2 that we can submit, and then we can sort of get that out of the way, and then I'll focus on the architectural aspects.
Have these been handed out yet?
Yeah, they're not.
And if I may, that's been marked already?
I believe so. We've marked
What
it
was
as
A1?
That's a good question.
A1, Jim, we can
The letter?
Yeah, A1 is just some comments, because while we had the opportunity to talk with the adjacent neighbor, we also had some further discussions with some of the staff, the Summit staff, some of the experts, particularly with regard to the Environmental Commission in Summit, and with John Linson, the city forester. And mostly what we did is we refined the information, we described a little bit more about what the project is going to include, so that their comments were more fully informed. And they both, well, I can't say that they approved because they didn't write that, but they said that they have no objections. Whereas previously they had some good concerns. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the architectural parts, and for the statistics, please feel free to stop me if, because I can rattle off a lot of numbers in a row, and they may not sound like much of a story when you're just listing numbers.
Perhaps if I can, Mr. Chairman, perhaps Dave, you could ask you if there's any questions with regard to the sheet that was just
Oh,
handed
of
out.
course. So the drawing that was handed out was, it looks like a formal drawing, but it's mostly a sketch that was done on the computer by Jared Kest, the landscape architect for the project. And it shows the house in the same configuration, the driveway, but it shows a couple of differences, in particular the pool and the greenhouse. On the drawing that was originally submitted, the greenhouse was towards Fernwood Road, which is to the left on the drawing, and the pool was farthest to the top of the page. So it was closest to the Zobitz's property. What we have done, they had some concerns about,
The pool.
yeah, about the pool, and they felt that they would like to look at the greenhouse rather than the pool, so we moved the greenhouse to be closer to their property, and the pool is more centrally located on the property and farther away from the Zobitz property. Both of them will require variances for front yard setback to an accessory structure on a corner lot. And those statistics which we had presented at 57 feet and 60 feet are probably not correct with this new plan. We haven't refined the plan. We haven't refined the landscaping between the retaining wall and the property as you go up the page. So our expectation is that we will, after covering some of the variances having to do specifically with the house, that we'll continue to another meeting and then be able to have all the statistics and have drawings that not only that you can look at, but any member of the public could look at, and in particular for the planner and engineer consultants for Summit to be able to look at and update their comments. Okay? Any questions? And then I'll move off. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if this
Tom.
is the right time to ask. You mentioned that Mr. Linson was now, he said verbally, but not a report yet, but it now is more supportive of the plan than the initial comments?
Yes.
So I have a question about that, because the one comment of his that concerned me the most was about two trees, a ginkgo, and I forget what the
Yes.
other one was. Those were located, though, it looks like to me, in the front of the house.
They are.
So so the plans have been changed to, if
I
you
don't
want to
know
wait
the-
for later.
yeah.
that's fine.
This is really for Jared Kest, who
Okay.
met with John Linson last week, and I have not seen the comments. John Linson just said that he's working elsewhere on Friday and I believe today, and so he'll follow up with his comments. So I'm just saying what I've heard with
Okay.
regard to those two trees.
I can also follow up with that. The one beech tree has beech leaf disease and it isn't expected to survive. The ginkgo, Jared Kess has drawn cuttings from it in order to replicate it elsewhere on the site.
And that's part of what Mr. Linson agreed to? Okay.
Yes.
Well, actually, that work was done a year ago. The variance process sometimes takes a little longer, so we were prepared for the ginkgo tree where there are 10 saplings growing from that ginkgo tree. Not planting seeds and so on, but they took cuttings and those are, Jared Kest will cover this. He's got photos of it. I've seen the photos, but anyway, all of those issues with John Linson will supposedly be resolved in writing by the
Okay.
next meeting that we continue to.
Mr. Chairman, if I can?
Why don't we have
Oh,
our
I'm sorry.
experts
Okay,
ask,
sure, go ahead.
see if they have any questions first, and then I'll get back to you, Don, in one sec. Board experts, what questions do you have for this
I think
witness?
I'm gonna wait for some engineering
Okay.
testimony.
I presume also you're going to be talking more about what variances you might anticipate, I guess, are still in play here, or all the variances that were identified originally?
It appears that all of them are still in play. We're still requesting all of those variances. However, we haven't refined it, but with the greenhouse moving to a single flat location rather than having access to one level of the patio and a lower level, we have to see whether we'll still need a variance for the height of the accessory building.
Okay.
So it's possible that that gets withdrawn, but
Okay.
we'll have to see.
And that also, it seems like it's being pulled out of the front yard setback possibly?
Possibly.
Greenhouse?
Yeah,
Possibly.
we want to give real information with real
Right.
statistics on all of that.
Right, understood.
But right now, we have it so that the greenhouse is centered on a room on the left side of the house, as you see it from Ridge Road.
I see the access.
Just so, yeah.
Okay. All right, and then the pool still needs a variance for being in the front yard setback from the adjacent street?
Yes.
Fernwood. Okay.
On a corner lot in the R43 zone, the normal setback for the building, the principal building, is 50 feet. On a corner lot, an accessory building has to be double that setback, so it has to be 100 feet. And that's where we can meet the regular requirement for a full building, for the principal building, but not for the accessory building.
Okay, so you possibly could eliminate the height issue for the accessory structure,
Well,
but then you're going to talk more about the architecture next.
yes, just to follow up on that one, and I hate to get too wonky on this and too deep into the ordinance, but that's what we're here for. So, an accessory building usually has a height limitation of 15 feet. In the design that we had submitted, the greenhouse had a height of 17 feet, 6 inches. And part of that, as I said, is because it was sort of straddling two levels of the patio. The Summit zoning ordinance says that a garage can be 18 feet high, and so can a pool cabana, if the pitch of the roof is steeper in order to match the main building on the property. That's what we were doing. So the greenhouse is actually about 2/3 greenhouse and 1/3 cabana. And the ordinance doesn't address specifically whether a greenhouse can be 18 feet high. We have assumed that the limitation is 15 feet, but the cabana part could be 18. Anyway, we're at 17 feet 6 in what we submitted, and we will update all of that as we develop that sort of sketch plan.
It's probably best to wait then, any further conversation on that.
Yes, but I just wanted to explain a little bit about what we have kind of nailed down and what's floating as of 3 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, so the project overall is divided into 3 main parts, and that's why there are 3 people who are going to be testifying about this. I'll handle the architectural part. There's also the landscape design, which is Jarrett Kest, and then civil engineering and some of the infrastructure, which is Andrew Clark. Andrew is here tonight, but I think he's here for another application, and so he's not, I don't think that, you don't have your information for this.
No, since 3 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, because most of his work, it would just get confusing, because some of the grading and some of the statistics and the stormwater management, those things are going to shift around a little bit, and it would be best to just do it once with the correct information.
I think we could make that assumption, Mr. Weber, about landscape and civil engineering.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yeah,
But the architecture is not really changing, save the greenhouse, correct?
correct,
Okay.
right, and so that's what I'm going to address.
Perfect.
Just a couple sentences first about the landscape. Just so you know what's coming, the landscape contains native plants, gardens, the greenhouse. The pool is part of that landscape design and patio, and significant improvements in the driveway. And we've moved many of the structures on the property more toward the center of the site. I'll get into it in just a moment very briefly about, there's an existing driveway and a freestanding garage at the downhill side. That driveway has 5 the driveway and the existing garage are both being removed so that we can have landscaping from the shared property line with the Zobitzes up to the first retaining wall. The existing driveway and that carriage house have 5 nonconformances, including too tall. It's got habitable space on the second floor. The driveway's too close to the property line, and the existing garage is too close to one of the property lines. So we're eliminating 5 nonconformances, and instead we're doing what feels like a better solution, which is to put the new garage attached to the house, the driveway going around to the right side of the house, as you look at the picture up here, and being in the basement. And then we're doing a 1-story addition directly above the garage, which will have kitchen, family room, breakfast area, and a couple of other similar kinds of spaces. But in moving those landscape elements into the center of the site, that was another one of the things that I think Mr. and Mrs. Zobitz liked better, because the landscaping could be vastly improved between the developed part of this property, our property, and theirs. With regard to the civil engineering and infrastructure, that's vastly improved, particularly with stormwater management. The property currently has no stormwater management system, and so a lot of the water just flows down the hill and into the adjacent properties. That will all be resolved with 6 dry wells that'll be paired, so there'll be 3 pairs of dry wells on the site, capturing water from different areas in order to store it on site and not have it just running off. In addition to that, there'll be a cistern, which will be essentially a tank that will hold water for watering the garden during the summer months. In addition to that, we're going to be using permeable paving. In the original submission, we had assumed that it might be asphalt paving, which is typical, but we're committing now, and it'll come up a little bit more when we continue, that we're using permeable paving, which they look like similar kinds of bricks, except they have little bumps sticking out, so they're not packed too tight together, and then the water can't get through. And so with the permeable paving and the retaining walls to capture and redirect the water, it's going to be a benefit to some of the adjacent properties, particularly 2 or 3 properties that are downhill from this. Okay, so now to the house, finally. There are 3 parts of this part of the project, and Ravi mentioned some of the ideas, particularly the first one, which is preservation and restoration. So both on the interior and the exterior, there's a goal to preserve this house. In some cases, with the age of the house, we're replacing some elements, such as we're replacing the siding with real cedar siding, not some kind of plastic or concrete. They have just recently replaced the roof. It's a slate roof, so we want to have the house in good shape for the next 100 years. On the inside, it includes restoring woodwork and the stair railings and those kinds of things that are not really the subject of this board, but they're important for the way the house retains the feeling of what it's always been. And in addition to that, some of the preservation also included restructuring parts of the house, particularly in the basement, to make sure that everything stays level and is properly supported. So preservation is number 1. Number 2 is renovation. And in this house, renovation is a lot. It's, again, we want to have it set for the next 100 years. So it includes replacing all of the electrical wiring, all new lighting, all the plumbing piping, both supply and the waste lines, all the HVAC, so the house is fully up to date, but still retain the capacity to upgrade as the technology advances. Some of the infrastructure improvements in this renovation also include geothermal heating and cooling, which has already been installed, and it's been a nice test over the last week and a half or 2 weeks, and it's functioning very nicely. In addition to that, there are solar panels that'll go above the front the new front porch. They'll be hidden by a parapet, so a sort of a low wall to hide the appearance from the street. But having the solar panels will allow, provide for electricity use in the house, and then there are a battery system in the basement to be able to power not only the geothermal, but also lighting and so on, even in the evening. And all of the bathrooms are being redone. All of the walls, except for a couple where there's wood paneling, like in the living room and so on, the rest of the house is all insulated to meet current standards. The code does not require us to do anything for the existing house. You can renovate it. If there's no insulation, you can keep it that way. And any new parts have to be really very well insulated. But right now, the house is superbly insulated. R60 in the roof and the attic, and R30 in many of the walls. And again, even though it's not required, that's what we've done. We've replaced a lot of the windows, some of which were nice looking, but we've replaced them with very similar looking wood windows. Okay, preservation, renovation, and then the addition. The addition is similar to a submittal that we made in 2014. We had gone to this board. We had gotten unanimous approval on that one. One of the differences is we didn't have a greenhouse, we didn't have the pool, but we had all of these other elements and very similar variances. But that one had the addition not just as garage and then above that on the first floor, kitchen, breakfast area, family room, and so on. It had another story with 2 bedroom suites. We don't have that as part of this. Okay, now the variances. We have a number of variances, and the ones I want to address specifically are maximum average building height and maximum overall height, which is from the lowest part, which is the bottom of the garage door, all the way up to the ridge. So taking the average, every 10 feet around the perimeter of the new house to either the new grade or the old grade, whichever's lower, so you get the biggest statistic that's possible. The allowable is usually 35 feet for a house, but because of the steepness of the roof, we're allowed to go to 38 feet. And that's the steepness of the roof. It doesn't have to be like a 45-degree angle slope. It's less than that. It's viewed at a 45-degree angle would be a 12 on 12, meaning 12 inches over and 12 inches up. If it's more than 8 on 12, then you get the bonus. It's allowed to be 38 feet high. This house is 10 on 12, so we're in that category. So the maximum height is allowed to be 38 feet. It's currently 39, and it's going to 41. And the house is not getting taller, but the addition extends out where the ground gets a little bit lower. And so there's no change, like in the picture up here. That ridge line is unchanged, and the addition behind looks like a one-story addition with a basement, and the basement is exposed where the garage doors are, but on the patio side, it seems like it's just a one-story structure. So there was some question as to whether it's a C variance or a D variance from, Mr. Snikes, was that your question?
I believe so,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's a C variance. And the distinction is it's less than 10 feet beyond the limit and less than 10% beyond the limit. So we're allowed 38, we're at 41. And just for reference, in 2014, we got a variance for something very similar for 40.7, which was 5 inches lower. And that just had to do with the exact shape of that addition at that time and where the existing ground was then. Second one is for the overall height, and that's from the lowest point where the ground is up to the top of the ridge. It's usually allowed to be 40 feet, But again, the same kind of bonus, because of the steepness of the roof, we're allowed to be 43 feet. Currently, it's 41.3, and we're going to 45 feet. Again, a C variance because we're going 2 feet beyond what's allowed, which is less than the 10%. In 2014, somehow we were 1 inch different. It was 44.9. I just mentioned that just because it's something that we've addressed, and we've been working together for a long time. And anyway, so those are the two variances having to do with height. And in the Burgess report, it said that the applicant shall confirm compliance with these requirements to make sure it's a C and not a D. And so we've done that. Then I wanted to talk about some of the comments from the staff and the staff review. There were a number of comments that were made. The chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, Caroline King, had comments initially with a little bit of just sort of concern, but the concluding remarks now are, the proposed addition and renovations are contextual to a house of that period. The siding, fenestration, and roof materials match the existing structure. So that counts to me, at least, as a no objection. It was helpful to see that the house, there's a historic, a document that's actually from 1989, where there was a documentation about older houses in Summit, and it says that this house was built in 1910. There are a couple of different references. Ravi mentioned 1903, or I've seen others around those years. The house really looks very much the same sort of now as it did then, except that while we were going through the landscape plan and various other things, we've done a lot of renovation of the existing house and the restoration that I was talking about. We just haven't done the addition yet. So if you drive by the house, it was in need of scraping and a new paint job, and we actually decided that it would be better to replace the cedar shingles with the same material, same everything as what it originally had. There are a few, it mentions also that Benjamin White was the architect. Benjamin White is somebody who has done a lot of homes in Summit and surrounding areas. He lived in Summit, and we've worked on a number of houses that at least are credited to him. One that's a block away is Temple Sinai, which was originally done for the Todd family, the grandparents of Christy Todd Whitman. Anyway, it's always nice to think that architects could be remembered. But anyway, the other thing that we had is I had sent a letter to Jessica in a week or two ago about some of the information that was where the Environmental Commission had some comments. And there were a lot of recommendations, like use native plants and asphalt is not so good and various other things. And in our initial submittal, we hadn't really fleshed those out. So we did, and we got back a response that we were hoping for, which is much more positive. The natural materials I mentioned, cedar siding and slate, the energy-efficient insulated glass windows, LED lighting, insulation I already covered, the HVAC. For the Environmental Commission, doing geothermal heating and cooling is impressive. They love that. We have 4 wells that go down 600 feet, and the fluid goes down and it comes up. Everything comes up at the end. That's ground temperature is like 55, and then it's either like with an air conditioner running one way or sort of in reverse. Squeeze that fluid and it gives off heat, and you either send that out or send it into the house. It's working well on the sending it into the house. Solar panels, I mentioned, paving and stormwater management. The existing is asphalt, although it's becoming more gravel than asphalt as the construction goes on. But we're going to use these permeable paving blocks, and with the stormwater management, the cistern, and the native plants is essentially all native plants, including a pollinator garden and various other things. And that it was my opinion that this is really a model project for how to take an old house, keep all the character, keep the appearance almost identical from the street, so the people who are walking their dogs or just driving by don't have a sense that the whole thing has changed, but bringing the house up to current standards so that it's not available to become a tear down. I just have a couple more comments about the resolution from 2014 presents a lot of good information, both for many of the things that we're doing that are very positive for the house, and also a lot of the reasons, according to municipal land use law, to say why this is a good project, including that the stormwater management protects the house and the neighborhood from a variety of plagues like fire and flooding and various other things. And the main thing that we come down to is, to secure safety from fire, flood, panic, and other natural and man-made disasters. But mostly it comes down to promoting a desirable visual environment. And that is that it looks really nice. The house looks so much better now than it did a year ago because of some of the renovations that have gone on and the restoration. And our next step is to do the addition. And I'll stop for a moment here and see if anybody has any questions.
Ed, do you have any additional questions?
Yes, just
Okay,
a
thank
few more quick ones.
Mhm.
With regard to the calculations for the building height, will you be providing that for
Yes.
the lowest to the highest and include
Yes.
that in the next revised set?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. We can confirm that information from there.
Okay.
You had indicated the two purposes of zoning you're looking to further, being the stormwater management for flooding and then the desirable visual environment. And then I was going to ask, though, how that would relate to the additions. The additions themselves are what? They're sort of in line with the existing building and their alignment as far as how they may impact the public view of the building? I think I know the answer to this. I'm just sort of wondering if you could provide that.
I appreciate the prompt.
Sure.
So the addition is in the back, more or less in the center of the back of the house. And the addition, the main addition for the kitchen, family room, and the garage below is not visible from the front of the property, from the street. And as you go around the corner and go down on Fernwood, the intent is to have the landscaping, and Jared Kest will address that in more detail, that would obscure the view of that family room addition. In 2014, the board, in the resolution from then, where it was one story higher than that, one of their findings was that it was not visible from the street. And so the promotion of a desirable visual environment, I would like people to be able to see the addition, but if they're on the property, they can. We use the same materials, the same sort of proportions, the same roof line, the same roof, siding, trim, all of that, so that it is so it's compatible. Is that close enough to what you're?
That's where I was going.
Good.
I was hoping
Okay.
you would touch on that with regard to the architecture. The proposed greenhouse that's
Yes.
being added, I guess we can't quite address that yet, not knowing if it does in fact still meet the variance for the front yard condition.
Right.
But I believe one of the things that's being proposed in the alternative design is that you're now looking to keep it sort of in line with the planes of the building?
Yes.
Okay, the proposed edges of the building.
Right.
themselves.
And we'll just have to see what those dimensions work out to. The main part of the building, there's an addition of a room on the left side of the house, which was also, it was smaller in the 2014 proposal, which never got built. But the Fernwood Road angles in closer to the house there. So the intent is to have the greenhouse certainly farther away from Fernwood than the main body of the house, and certainly way beyond the 50 feet that would normally be required for the principal building. But we don't know exactly what that dimension is until Andrew tells us.
And also, it may not be known yet exactly what the lot coverage is, I'm sorry, building coverage, as it relates to the total site.
Well, I think that building coverage is going to be unchanged.
Okay.
And I have all the statistics on that, where 12% is permitted, and we're at 14.4, which is 1,000,
I'm sorry to
Oh.
interrupt.
later?
Yeah, later.
Okay.
Because, let's not use numbers that are going to be
Fine.
subject to change.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ed. Board, what questions do you have for this witness?
I've heard you say a couple times that the addition's going to be in the center in the back.
Yes.
On the
Plus a
plan
piece
here.
on the left.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you've kind of not said about that. You've just been saying everything's visual in the back. What's being presented on the left?
So on the left is a room for, it's sort of for entertaining. The way that Ravi and Goda live is essentially a shoes-off house. And so this is a shoes-on room. So that other friends who are not necessarily, or a bigger group, can be in there. That addition is conforming in terms of its location and height and the design and everything. But it does contribute to building coverage and lot coverage.
Okay.
Does that cover
Yeah,
the?
no, I mean, until we find the building coverage and lot coverage, it's kind of pointless to keep
Right.
going.
Okay.
Don, you had a question from earlier?
They were kind of answered. I was
Okay.
kind of leaning toward the lot coverage, but that's, I guess that could. subject
I think we have to
change.
have an accurate number on that.
I have a question regarding the building height.
Yes.
If we're looking at Block 5, there's a big difference in, significant difference in elevation between the other structure and this area where I see here a ridge height elevation of 225,
Okay.
while we're talking there about 170 elevations.
On the,
So, on
sorry,
the
just
other
this is the adjacent property down
Yeah.
the hill on Fernwood?
correct.
Yeah.
So what I'm worried about, I'd like to ask, how this will affect the southern exposure of that building,
Hmm.
because there will be a shade, and the house on the block number 5 might be affected. I mean, as the architect, did you look at it from that point of view, from the viewers standing on block 5, looking at the new building? Because the height, that's what will affect them.
Let me just show you this. On this one, this is the back of the house. The existing house is the tall part. And the piece that's in here, I don't know if you can see this triangle in here, that's the addition. So it's much lower, and we can figure, I can get the statistics for you, so with the continuation of this case, I can have those statistics. It's not going to block the adjacent neighbors' sunlight because of the way that this is a one-story structure in here, and then that roof, and because of the orientation, I don't think that it's going to do any of that.
But this extension is way closer to the,
It is. Let me just see if I have the site plan. So this is showing part of the site plan. This, I just put the pool as blue. This was if we were going to get into more discussion about the proposed plan. So I think we're looking at the back wall of the addition here, and then their house, I actually have a drawing which shows where their house is. I don't have it on the computer. I have it, their house is not as far away from Fernwood. So that addition going out to the back in the area, right here, excuse me, let me get, I need a rougher surface for this. Okay, so this part, when it looks out, their house is really more over here.
right.
And so it does.
Where's their driveway along the property line there?
The driveway is right along here, and it says adjacent paved driveway there. So the line for that is across here. But then their house is quite close to the side that comes off of, like going up to the top, and then they have a deck in the back. But I'll be glad to get that information for you. Because there's a lot of slope back there, and as Andrew will testify, there's a lot of, this is all a steep slope in this area, and then it flattens out, and then there's their property. But we'll get that. We'll have a drawing to show that.
Mary?
I have a couple of questions. You made reference to the 2014 approval by the board.
Yes.
You know, was any of that constructed? What was
No.
approved? Okay, so essentially, you know, we don't have, it's hard to compare this plan to anything in that plan. I didn't know
Yeah.
if that was a benchmark or in any way. And as of now, I just want to, in terms of the number of variances, assuming the greenhouse needs a variance, it sounds like it might not. Is it 8 or is it 9? Because how does the building, you have the building height and then you have the max height. It's written in the notes like it's 1, but is that 2?
That's 2.
It's 2. So right now it's 9 variances. It could be 8 if maybe less if some of the other offsets change. That's right. And then the third question, and I didn't really notice that until you mentioned about the garage with the kitchen on top.
Yes.
How does that work? And this is probably a question for Mr. Snikes, but like, that's a wing of the house, like a separate construction. Does that now count as a story because of 2 sides of that are exposed above ground level? So does that is there a variance for now it being 4 stories, or is
No.
it?
Yeah, it comes down to the measurement of that ultimate amount of exposure of that lower level. And I think that's something that they had on the plan previously. I think you did calculations on that, and it did not count as a story.
Okay.
So, but I would ask them just to confirm on that.
Yeah, the basement does not count as a story because it's almost all below grade, except for the garage door part, and as it turns the corner all the way to the back. And part of the existing house is also exposed by the driveway coming around and cutting down. But it is not considered a story. The first floor is, but that's part of the existing first floor. Then there's second floor, which is that there's no addition on the second floor. And then the third floor, or the attic, there's no change there.
Yeah, that one is a story already. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. This is my very first time up here, and it's a real pleasure to be able to ask a question of you, David, on such a commendable project. And I want to focus on a couple of things that you're describing, maybe too briefly, on the environmental characteristics of the building, coming from having written some of those comments for the Environmental Commission over the years. Could you tell us the extent of the permeable paving? Is it the entire driveway, a portion near the garage, or?
I believe
Or is
it's,
that question for?
it's really a
landscape?
question for Andrew.
All right.
But essentially all of it is, unless there may be a different kind of paving right at the street. Some of that, depending on where it is, may be between the front property line and the curb, so it wouldn't count anyway.
Well, as we all know, the ordinance doesn't give any advantage in terms of coverage for permeable paving. I personally think it should. I'd be interested in your opinion, but we could do that.
Well, I think that there are a lot of kinds of paving that are promoted as permeable. And one of the differences is whether that's under some ideal situation or some kind of spacing. The ones that we're going to use, they're sort of like bricks, but they have these little nubs on the side.
Yeah.
So there has to be a space there.
Yeah, I have those in my driveway, and they work very well. But
Okay.
second question,
Yeah.
from an environmental point of view, you spoke about solar panels.
Yes.
And being on the addition, I presume it's the garage addition, not the front addition.
No, it's actually, can I, so there's a porch in the front, by the front door, which is this porch right here.
Right.
And that will have a parapet wall. We'll show the renderings of the whole house next time. So there's a parapet wall, a little wall that's about this high that wraps around that. And so the solar panels are set down so they're not visible from the street.
Okay.
And the second place where they exist, let me just get back to, is on the dormer at the very top. There's a dormer up here, and it's the same. It's just harder to see because the roof has a texture there. But that piece is a shallow pitch, and that will have solar panels as well, flat on the roof.
Yeah.
So it's not visible unless somebody's really quite tall.
I
Did
drove by
you
the house
point
today
that
to
out
look
on
at-
the side elevation? Where you could see the dormer
Yeah, let me just see if.
profile, maybe?
Let me just get to the, I think, no. Give me a second, I'm gonna try and find that one. Okay, so on the side, let me just see if I can use, anyway, in this part where you see on the very far left, that's the front porch. And so those panels are meant to mimic other panels that are elsewhere on the house. And so the solar panels will be down inside there. And on this, they're on the front of the house because that's what faces south, but they're up in here, sort of to the left of the chimney in this view.
Do you happen to know, are they the roof tile style solar panels, or are they?
No, well, we
traditional?
haven't,
Okay.
we can have that information for you. I was assuming it was a normal photovoltaic panel.
So they might be slightly visible from a distance.
Yes,
Okay.
from a significant difference, maybe from the house across the street or something.
And the last third of three questions pertaining to environmental
Yes.
features that you mentioned. The geothermal is installed already.
Yes.
That's not subject of this application.
Correct.
I'm just curious, either in your own work or in others that you've seen in town, how many residential projects have benefited from geothermal on property? Is this a rarity? Or
It is a rarity. There is one block away on Hobart Avenue. The Cagnasolas, they may be around 120. They're not 120, but it's next door to that. They have it. And there's another house that's over, pardon me? Okay, and there's another one over by Beacon Hill in the neighborhood. I don't remember which street it's on, but I know that there's another house that has it there. And that was really quite a retrofit because it's still one of those brick ranches. I was surprised to see it
I
there.
think the Fortnightly Club might have it too.
All right.
I think they
Any
do.
others? There aren't many.
Yeah.
And I think that it's, part of it is the installation cost is big. then the operating cost is almost nothing.
Well, I'm trying to put this in the form of a question, but I just want to say that between the geothermal, the solar, use of natural materials, native plants, and even the greenhouse itself is a functional element, not just a visual element.
Right.
It's quite a remarkable achievement, both the clients and yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Don?
Yeah, maybe real quick, back to the lot coverage. I know that says it's subject to change, but do you know the square footage of the lot, of the patio? Or is that?
I don't know the
landscape?
size of the patio. I know the size of the lot, but I think that's on
Define the size
V1.
of the lot. I mean, the patio. And then just a couple words of caution. The photo cells on the overhang don't hinder egress out of that room, or if that's that top of the stairs. Yeah, just my fireman's hat coming out, that's all.
No, I recognize what you're saying. I know where it's coming from.
You know, because guys step off ladders onto that roof and, may not, especially when there's so many inches of snow on the ground and if only
Okay.
shovel a little bit, just something. to
That's a
keep in
good
the back
point.
of your mind.
I don't think of the house in terms of flow and so on, moving through it, what it looks like. I don't think of the.
Firemen think about it falling down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting comment. I mean, one of the other comments is that at the front of the house, we have these 4-foot overhangs and with solar panels below. But we think that that may shield the edge of the array, but not too much.
More solar panels other than the two you've mentioned?
Well, the panels are in those two locations.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
But then there's a 4-foot overhang that's.
Well, there's yeah, you can see over here on the left side of, this thing is not,
Oh, I see what you're.
on the left side of the drawing, there's an overhang there.
Gotcha.
But we're looking at the sun angles in order to make sure that that they can function.
Usage, yeah.
So, Mr. Rosen, maybe
Yes.
when your team comes back, it might be worthwhile to just indicate the outline, rough footprint of the two solar PV arrays.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. All right. Any questions from the audience for this witness? Seeing none? Thank you, Mr. Rosen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience on this. And
No
sorry we're
worries.
presenting half of an application.
If we could carry this application to the next available hearing without the need for further notice?
All right. Can I get,
So moved.
February
Motion to
18th.
carry to the next available date.
yep.
February 18th,
February 18th?
the next meeting, yes.
Motion to
Next
carry
hearing?
to February 18th.
Are we going to be able to get the plans done by February 18th? As much as we appreciate the board's quick return on that one, in order for the engineer to be able to revise his plans, for the landscape architect to revise his plans, and to get it to the board and the professionals, just a tight timeline.
Mr. Weber, this might be a first.
It is a first. It's absolutely a first.
March 16th is then the next available date.
Yes, that would be appreciated, Mr. Chairman, members.
Great. So with that, can I get a motion to carry to March 16th without further notice?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Vice Chair Zahn,
Yes.
Mr. Yuko,
Yes.
Mr. Malay,
Yeah.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Curran,
Yes.
Ms. Chifo,
Yes.
Chairman Likets.
Yes. All right. See you
Thank
in
you.
March.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. James Weber and Samantha Alfonso of Alfonso and Weber, on behalf of Ricky and Stephanie Gelband, the owners of the property located at 45 Prospect Hill Avenue. This is an application that was previously before the board. Board allowed us an opportunity to revise the plans to eliminate the building coverage, which was not as simple a process as you would imagine, given the steep slope, because as the board is aware, patios count as buildings if they're 12 inches or higher above the grade at any one point. But with the work of the architect and the engineer and the landscape architect, they were able to remove the patios further away from the building and eliminate that standard where you're having them 12 inches or so above. And as a result, the building coverage has been brought into compliance, and that variance has been eliminated. As a result, the one remaining variance is the steep slope disturbance. The backyard of this property is almost entirely steep slopes and of a certain significant nature. The prior predecessor in title had trails going down, had tried building ponds, had landscaped the area and tried to reconfigure it themselves, and that has fallen into significant disarray. The property is going to be demolished. A demo permit has been proceeding. It was waited until now because one of the things that the applicants would like to do, rather than just demolish the structure, they wanted to, thank you. They wanted to deconstruct the building. So what is being proposed is, even though it costs a lot more, takes a lot more time, a lot more effort, the applicants propose to remove the slate and save the slate, to take the stones, and these are 4-inch bricks that are built into this building, and take all of that siding and use it in the construction of the new home. Likewise, there is an architectural interest in the metal and single pane windows. And those windows are going to be preserved as well. So the site will first be deconstructed with the roof, the stonework, some other architectural amenities, the steel single pane windows, which of course, as soon as I say that environmentally, they just conduct heat. They don't hold any, insulation quality is almost nil. But those will be put aside. The stone will be preserved. I believe the slate is intended to be sold. So it would be Mr. Bentley, who does a lot of slate work in town, would be using that. And then there's another opportunity to use the windows. With regard to the steep slopes, we have Andrew Clark available to testify with regard to that and to respond to any questions that the board may have. Our landscape architect, who prepared the landscape plans, could not be here tonight. He had to attend another meeting, and so we don't have him. We do have the architect, we have Andrew Clark, and we also have the structural engineer who's looked at the property. And I know that there's a board member who had asked whether or not we could bring that structural engineer here in order to apprise the board as to the condition of the existing home. If the board doesn't have any questions of me, I would ask that Ricky and Stephanie come up, introduce themselves, and so we can move on.
Sounds good.
And if you could each raise your right hand, do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And one at a time, please state your name, spell your last name.
Stephanie Gelband, Gelband.
Rick Gelband, Gelband.
Thank you.
Welcome. Tell us a little bit about your project.
So, we love this street and this house. We're really, really excited. We live in Summit right now, and we've been here for 2 years, and we're, really excited about building our forever home. And we're really inspired by the existing house that's there right now. We want to preserve the character and the charm and fit in with the neighborhood. So, yeah.
I've indicated that you've retained experts in the form of Steve, oh gosh darn it. Thank you, as your architect, and Andrew Clark as your engineer. And you've also retained Jeff Higginbotham as your landscape architect. And you've had a chance to understand that there are staff report comments that have been issued by the board's experts. Are you going to be bound by those conditions, subject to the comments of your experts?
Yeah, absolutely.
And did you have a chance to reach out to your neighbors?
Yes. Yeah, we tried to reach out to everyone. We got in touch with a few people. Everyone seemed fine with it, and actually, one of the neighbors across the street was super excited about the project. She said she walked through it, and she totally agreed with the decisions that we made. So.
Now, we've met Mr. Kim, is it? Yes, that's right. Before, and he was here at the prior application, and we've advised him of the carrying of this application as it's come through. And so we do acknowledge Mr. Kim. He owns 26 Argyle, and that's the property directly behind the property in question. I have nothing further.
Great. Any questions for this witness? Witnesses, sorry. Board, any questions?
More for the consultants, thank you.
Okay. Any questions for the applicants? Seeing none. Any questions only from the public for these witnesses? No? All right, great. Mr. Weber, who do you have first?
Andrew Clark.
Great.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name.
Andrew Clark, C-L-A-R-K-E.
Thank you, and you've appeared before us quite a few times, including very recently. Any changes to your credentials since the last time you were here?
There has been no change.
I imagine we will accept you back.
Absolutely. Welcome back, Mr. Clark.
Thank you. I'm hanging on to the paper.
Testing. Okay, we're live. So I'm going to discuss the project, the existing and proposed conditions. Unlike many of the applications I'm involved in, I did not actually conduct the survey myself. That was already completed, but I do have a copy of the survey just to review the existing conditions that are depicted on that survey. That survey was performed by James Deedy and Associates, is dated October 30th, 2024. So I'll just walk through the existing conditions first, just to get a picture of what's there now. On the survey drawing that's here on the board that I referred to, the street is at the top, which is actually inverted from the way I have my drawing, but so it's flipped around. But it's on Prospect Hill. This is lot 28 in block 3501. It's located in the R25 district. The site existing has a 2.5-story dwelling on the property near the center of the property. As you're facing the house, the driveway's on the left side with a side-loaded garage. Behind that driveway, there's a pool and patio area, and there's another patio, raised patio at the back of the house. There's also a bit of a large walkway / small patio in the front that's accessed by a walkway from the driveway and from the street. There are a series of a few walkways and a little pond that are also on the property as you come down the hill. The hill is a prominent feature in the backyard. In the front, it looks rather conventional, I'd say. It's a fairly modestly graded front yard that pitches from the driveway side towards the street and towards the neighboring property on Prospect Hill. Once you get past the house and sort of towards this secondary line of the body of the house, it starts to grade down to the back, to the rear of the property. Once you pass the house, very close behind the house, it drops off precipitously. It's a very steep slope. I have walked the property a couple of times, and these walkways that are shown here at this point, what's that? Oh, sorry. At this point in history of this property, the backyard has become rather unkempt, would be a polite way to say it. These walkways are a little treacherous walking down because it is steep and the walkways are not well maintained and cleared. It is very steep in here directly back, and then it starts to get less steep down towards the bottom. There's also a small shed in the back right corner of the property there. There is no formal stormwater management that I could observe. There is a drain, there's like a small drain by the driveway, but I'm actually not sure where it goes. If I had to guess, it comes out to the back somewhere, just daylights in the slope. It's probably, but that's also probably covered over at this point as well, based on the condition of the property. Advancing then to what this project entails, we're planning to demolish the house and all the ancillary features. The pool will be removed, the pond, the walkways, all of the existing features. We're actually going to bring and construct a new dwelling in a similar location, and the driveway will similarly be on the left side. In fact, we plan to use the existing apron to bring the driveway in for a side-loaded garage on the left side. The front yard will be similarly graded. It will continue to be modestly graded with the drainage patterns moving from left to right as you look at this drawing. And by the way, the drawing that I'm referring to now is the lot grading plan that I prepared, which was dated May 27th, 2025, and last revised January 8th, 2026. So the front yard is going to appear very similar, obviously, with just the different house that would be constructed. Driveway on the left side, there's a walkway accessing the two entry points to the dwelling. Then in the rear yard, what we're planning to do is take better management of this entire backyard. Right now, it's arguably marginally usable. You know, it's usable in one sense, but if you're a modern family in Summit, it's not a terribly useful backyard for most families in terms of, you know, your kids playing in the yard or entertaining or even just having some passive time out. The only opportunities on the terrace that's back there. So what we're planning to do, and is the center of this whole application, is the disturbance of this slope area in the back. But we're sort of reforming this backyard into a usable space with modern amenities. And the way we're doing that is directly off the back of the house, there's going to be a patio, and we're going to have some steps down. There's going to be 2 layers of walls here to another level of yard in the back. So that's going to be a pretty leveled yard in this area. And then the back right corner is going to be a location for the pool, an in-ground pool and spa, and it'll just be accessed from the basement over here because the grade drops off. So we're going to use that change in grade and come out the basement to that patio, and then there's going to be stairs that bring you down to the pool area from the patio that we're putting off the back of the house. Because of the terrain change and the grades in here, we also have some walls that frame out the back corner and raise the grade up to make this level, and then we have to step back up with these walls to get to the level of the house. It's obviously considerable disturbance of that steep slope area. From my standpoint, at the end of the project, the main concern to me is during the course of the construction, because at the end of the project, I think this is going to be a beautiful property that's going to be well landscaped and brought into a modern standard. And at the end of it, we're not going to have those steep slopes. We're going to have level areas that are managed and maintained, and we're going to add a strong stormwater system to bolster the entire project and to make sure that at the end of this, what's going to result is a vast improvement in terms of stormwater management. As we know through many applications that have been before this board, that is the main concern with steep slopes, is twofold. One is just by default, there's increased runoff and concentrated runoffs and higher velocities from stormwater. And the second is what happens during construction for disturbance. So to me, eliminating the steep slopes is a benefit combined with the stormwater management. So what we're doing for stormwater management, as I said, there doesn't appear to be any formal stormwater management existing. What we're going to do is basically create two systems, one in the front that's going to capture a majority of the house and about 3/4 of the driveway. And the driveway grades up a little bit to a high point that's located right here and indicated on the drawing with a dashed line. And then, so it comes to that slight high point, and then everything else pitches to the back to this drain. So we're going to pick up that portion of the driveway with the drain, and then the bulk of the roof. There's a kind of near where that chimney is on the right, there's a ridge line that goes here, and then it goes to the middle of this section in the back. Everything forward of that is going to go into this front dry well. The roof area in the back corner there can't get there by gravity the way this is arranged, so that'll get routed to the lower dry well. The lower dry well will pick up that portion of the roof, as well as everything else that flows from the hard surfaces, the patio, the pool surround. Well, actually, it's not surround, but there's a modest bit of patio on the front side of the pool. All that will be picked up by a perimeter drain on the top of this wall at the edge of the yard. So any runoff that doesn't just get absorbed by the lawn area in terms of the patios will get captured by this perimeter drain here and routed into the dry well. The breakdown, I think one of the questions in Ms. Raffay's review was just making sure that those distributions are correct. It has been accounted for in terms of the design and the roof lines. There's about 3,400 square feet of the house and about 1,600 square feet of the driveway that are contributing to the dry well in the front. So we're managing 5,000 square feet in the front. And then the dry well in the back is the same size as it's capturing a little less than 5,000 square feet, but I felt like it would be valuable to have a little over-design in the back to make sure that the neighbors in the back and the Gelbans themselves have a dependable condition back there with the stormwater. We did go out and conduct perk tests in the field just to make sure that what I'm testifying to and what I'm designing will stand up to the field conditions. And the findings of the perk test are that they will. We had at least 2 inches per hour in perk rate, which is a bit above what our target would be for these dry well designs. So the soils were suitable for the dry well design. We didn't encounter rock or groundwater or anything like that. We dug a hole very close to where each of the tank installations are proposed. It was actually a little tricky in the back because of the slope, getting the machine down there. I wasn't sure we were going to get down there at first. So I think what we're doing with the stormwater is a huge improvement, actually, because we're increasing the lot coverage by about 800 square feet, but we're storing 10,000 square feet. Essentially almost the whole project, almost all of the impervious areas getting managed. So to me, that's a massive improvement. I think that with regards to the neighbor on Argyle, at the end of this project, there should be a strong benefit that'll be realized by these stormwater improvements. There was also a comment with regards to, I think from actually the city engineer weighed in this time. I guess that's happening now with the comments, which is good. So he took a look at it and just said to make sure that, you know, things are getting taken care of during construction. And we had some internal discussion. What I'm going to do as part of that, and it's a good point, is I have a conventional silt fence shown here for the soil erosion. I think we're going to upgrade that to a super silt fence, which is, it's like a silt fence, but it's got like a wire mesh reinforcement, so it gives an extra measure. And when we get into the construction phase, we may actually put a second line in temporarily, just to make sure that we're not going to cause any problems during the construction. Because again, that's been my experience, is that the construction process is one of the main problematic areas in terms of steep slopes. So if that can get managed properly, at the end of the project, I've seen these projects end up as rather beautiful projects that are basically a huge improvement in terms of not only aesthetics, but the stormwater management. So that's the discussion of the steep slopes. We comply with the height. I have a detailed analysis in the lower left corner with regards to the height and with regards to this story above grade. So both of those have been analyzed, and we're in compliance. We're in compliance with the setbacks. We're in compliance with the lot coverage and the building coverage. So steep slopes in this case is the only variance that we're seeking in order to construct this project. And with that, I'd be happy to take any kind of questions that we may have.
Before you,
Sure.
Before that happens, Mr. Chairman, if I can follow up with a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
Have you tried to minimize the amount of steep slope disturbance that is involved with the development of this site?
Well, to the extent possible, I did actually break down the plan, and I have a separate steep slopes plan. I've started doing that, and on cases like this, where it starts to get very difficult to understand the plan when it's all together. So the grading plan we were referring to, I'm now looking at the steep slopes plan with May 27, 2025 date, last revised January 8th, 2026. So this describes the existing conditions. You can see that this steep area in the back comes all the way across the lot, and it's very close behind the existing house. There's a second patch of steep slopes, I'll call it, in the front.
Front left-hand
Yeah,
corner?
to the left of the driveway, and there's a massive 50-inch tree at the top of that rise that's there. And so you have that steep slope section that's there.
When you say 50, you mean 50?
Yeah. More than 4 foot in diameter, yes.
And that tree is going to be preserved?
That's being preserved. In addition, and in answer to your question, we're preserving almost all of this. There'll be a little bit of contact on the edge with disturbance just to build the driveway, but by and large, this steep slope area is going to remain intact. But this area in the back, if you tried to do almost anything back there, you're going to surpass the thresholds. And we wrestled with it quite a bit as to whether there was some good way to do this and minimize or not disturb that area, but because it's so close to the house and it's sweeping across the entire rear yard, there really isn't. It renders, as you can see, this whole area, you can't walk or play ball or anything on that, so it's not really usable. If you try to create a usable space, you would end up disturbing the steep slopes. It's impossible to avoid.
And the existing house was, how far back was the setback for the existing house?
So the existing house is at 55 feet.
No, that's the front yard. I was talking about the rear yard, I'm sorry.
Oh, what's the rear yard? Yeah, they don't have a dimension on that.
If I have your.
Yeah, I think I
operating-
calculated it off their survey. The rear yard was 72 feet,
And what's proposed?
82 feet.
you're
So
talking-
with the house, to the house itself,
The front setback on the new house is how much?
82 feet at the rear yard.
At the front?
No, the front setback is 53.9.
The proposed.
It's very close to what the existing house was, and it's based upon the neighborhood average from survey that Dee Dee provided. In fact, there was a little question in the neighborhood average on one of the lots, whether it should be included or not, and including it made that number a little bit bigger. We went with that number just to be conservative.
And then, when you're showing these retaining walls, you use the term returning to grade. I don't understand what that means.
Well, when you build the wall, let's say this wall in the back corner here, this L-shaped wall in the back corner, it starts at grade, so you don't really need a wall. The elevation you're proposing is what's there. Then as you go back, the wall gets higher. So the grade's going down, but the top of the wall is remaining the same, so it gets higher. And then again, once you turn the corner and go back that way, the ground's sloping up again. So we return to grade, so we get back to a zero height wall,
So
essentially.
the top of the wall remains level, but then it catches up to the hillside.
That's right.
And so for the neighbors at 26 Argyle, where's their house and pool located?
So I believe their pool is right about in this location, and their house is forward of that, because Argyle's up here. And so it's sort of not quite centered, a little bit left of center on that.
Right. So the wall's going to be only
Right, so
0 feet, 1 foot, 2,
this
3 feet.
wall and this wall, their highest points are farthest from that house and pool. And as you come up the yard, those walls get smaller in height.
And then there was a mention that there was a beech tree that was being preserved, and it didn't mention that the white pine's being preserved. The white pine is being preserved, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, I think there was some discussion and dialogue about it, and ultimately where we landed was that it can be preserved, and we're going to attempt to preserve it, which it should be possible given the position of the walls. And it's basically just really close to the line, just on our property. The beech is right there, and the other tree is right there.
So on the representations being made that there will be an attempt to preserve the beech and the white pine, there should also be a representation that if the board approves the application, condition that there'll be a super silk fence installed post, and that there will be steps taken during construction.
Yeah, that's always the case. Every time that we get a grading plan approval, that's one of the stipulations in the approval, is that, you know, the contractor is responsible, the owner is responsible to maintain the integrity of the site during construction with regards to stormwater, soil erosion, things of that nature. Certainly, soil erosion also requires that. We have to get certification from the district. And they come out and check the site. I found that they do random checks, or if anyone calls with an issue, they come out, and those things get addressed promptly.
And I wasn't sure that in terms of the conditions, we talked about the fact that there's the existing stonework is going to be deconstructed and utilized in a new home. That slate roof is going to be deconstructed, and the steel frame windows are going to be preserved. So those representations, if the board approves the application, would be appropriate as additional conditions. The one caveat that when we had that discussion with the contractor, he said, well, you have to make sure that this house, as they're doing that, that has to be safe. So it can't be something where they go up, start taking the slate off, and it turns out that the structure won't accept that type of deconstruction, because you'll be really taking things apart as you move down the house, and you have to make sure that it's not something that you're going to end up in a situation that puts anyone at risk.
So I'll just note, we have that representation in the record. You know, as far as conditions are concerned, it's obviously one that's very difficult to enforce from a practical perspective. I don't know if anyone feels the need to see that explicitly noted as a condition here.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Great.
I mean,
Well,
I
then-
just had a question about that, because the windows are single pane. I mean, what's the likelihood that they would actually be used? You have to retrofit
It's
them,
the
or do you
steel,
know?
I understand, right? And they're
That's what
very
I-
excited about it.
Greenhouse is not for a new, not for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're repurposed. and-
Right, so it's not for this house anyway.
No.
It's more, you know, you can recoup this, and, you
Yeah,
know,
that
there's
there's
a
some
cost,
inherent
if there's some
value.
value of it, that's more of a homeowner decision on what you're doing with the materials as opposed to things that are pertinent to the house itself, I think, at this point.
The Gelbans are understanding that. They're understanding there's additional cost associated with that and time, because you can't just demolish it. You have to go in and take each out. So that's been explained to them, so.
Marie, what questions do you have for this witness?
Are you guys finished? I didn't want to jump in.
I'm good.
Okay.
Fire away.
All right, so thank you for clarifying the dry wells and the calculations on that. You know, the dry wells look like they're adequately sized. I just wanted to, you know, I always check the tributary area, so thank you for clarifying that. Could you talk a little bit about the building coverage calculation? Now, I know that that is not a variance,
Right.
but what is the amount of building coverage?
So obviously that comes up as a question because our original application, we were over on building coverage, right? And we haven't actually changed the number that's on here, that 4,688 square feet. So it's very close to what's the permitted building coverage. The reason we were over on the initial submission is due to this patio in the back. If you went back and looked at that, what we had is this wall arrangement was closer. In fact, the patio was up against one of the walls. And because Summit's ordinance requires that any patio or deck with more than 12 inches above grade be treated as building coverage, that's why that patio was being treated as a terrace or a building coverage in the previous application. And so what we've done in this revision is move these two walls back, so there's at least 10 feet behind the patio, and so it's an at-grade patio versus the terrace arrangement that we had before. So it's that patio change in its nature is what changed with the building coverage.
Okay, so are any of the patios now contributing to the calculation for building coverage?
No.
Okay, so it's just,
The house and the porches.
okay, all right. And my only comment on that is that, you know, I think it's very close to
It is.
the limit, so that would be something that.
So I'll
just-
be doing a lot of stakeout.
You're on alert, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Duly noted.
And what, Ms. Raffay, if I can speak to you, Ms. Raffay?
Yes.
We're dealing with another application with regard to that, where the as-built survey was presented to the Department of Community Services. The department looked at it, double-checked everything, and found out that, yes, you're over by 200 square feet, and as a result, everything had to be stopped. And so we're all well aware that the city is very tight to make sure that whatever this board approves is what is built. So,
Yeah, and I can tell you, as a surveyor on the practical side, you know, I do the initial stakeout for the construction, well, actually for the footings, the excavation and the footings. And then on a site like this, where it's very close, normally then the course of action is for me to return to the job once the footings are poured, and I actually place nails at every building corner in the footing so that the masons don't have to think. They just snap chalk lines, and then it's on me. And then as soon as the foundation is done, I come out and survey the foundation to verify that it's in the right place and it's the right size. So those controls happen with every project that's new construction in town, and I'll just make sure to pay a little more vigilance to this one since we are so close.
Okay. And I feel a little better now knowing that it's not the patios, you know, sometimes.
Right.
It's the patios, you know, those amenities that can creep up.
Yes.
So I understand. Okay, thank you. Could you talk a little bit about the pool fence and where the location is on that property?
Yes,
Something changed from the last iteration.
That's right. In fact, on my revised grading plan, I failed to update the pool fence. I have the fall protection fence on there, but the pool fence, I double-checked with the landscape designer who couldn't be here tonight, but it starts at the front right corner and comes across to the boundary, comes along the boundary, back, and then circles back just behind the driveway end. So that's the pool fence that will enclose the yard. And then the fence that I have shown is along the back of the pool, just for fall protection to make sure that the wall is safe because you have pedestrian movement around that area.
I see, okay. So is the pool fence that's gonna surround the property
Yes.
over in that, I guess, the south corner where there's a wall? Is it on top of the wall, or is it gonna be on
Yeah,
the
so,
property
so,
line?
so the fall protection one is gonna be on this upper wall,
Right,
around where the pool
but
is.
then you have another.
And then,
another
yeah,
lower-
then we're gonna have extensive landscaping in there.
Okay.
So that won't really be an area where kids are playing or there's, pedestrian movement, shall we say.
Okay.
And that's clear on the landscape plan that it's gonna be, infill in there.
Okay, but it'll still be able to keep somebody out of from getting into the yard and accessing.
Oh, yeah, yes, definitely, because there's enough space in there. I mean, they still have to climb a fence if they were trying to get in there.
Okay. And maybe the landscape, well, you don't have a landscape architect with you tonight, but do you think you can talk about some of the mitigation of the heights of the walls? It looks to me like when you put those two walls together, it's about 10 feet. I know they're
Right.
stepped back, but
No,
is there
right.
something to soften that?
Yeah, I do have a copy of the plan, which I believe was submitted, but the intent is, and I'm referring now to the plan prepared by Landbox, sheet L1, dated 5/20/25 and revised on January 6, 2026. And so in this area, framing actually, this side and then framing on the left side are green giants. So they're going to fill in and obscure, I would say, by and large, once they're being planted. I think it depends on which ones. There's different ones that are spec'd. Some of them are either between 12 and 16 feet, depending. So they're going to be planted at a reasonable height in terms of providing some immediate screening and buffering to that wall. But once they mature out and fill in that space, you won't really see much of that wall in the corner there. And as I said before, as you come down, the wall gets lower regardless, but we still do have landscaping in there. There's a little gap because I think we're trying to protect some of those trees and give them some root space in there. But then for screening again, we're going to return back to the green giants across there so that it should be well buffered to the rear in terms of its visual impact.
I think that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
Mr. Chairman, a few questions. Mr. Weber, will you be offering any other testimony with regard to the variances, or no? We're really going from this testimony here.
We have the architect available.
Okay.
We also have the structural engineer, if there were questions as to the condition of the building. So we can respond with regard to both the architect and the structural engineer. The landscape plan was submitted. We do have the report of John Linson dated 1/22/2026. And he goes on to say that the replacement landscape plan is quite detailed and fulfills the city's tree replacement requirement. He does indicate there's only 3 existing trees will be preserved on the site: the 50-inch oak, the magnolia, the beech tree, and that's why I asked Andrew Clark. There's another tree, and that's the large white pine, which is also being preserved.
Okay. My reason for that question was just to see what type of C variance you're asking for, whether it's the hardship of the property itself or the benefits outweigh the detriment, or both.
It would be both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd claim it's more of a hybrid.
Okay.
I mean, to me, the steep slopes itself is an inherent hardship in terms of trying to do any kind of work or development, but certainly the benefits outweighing the detriments would also apply in this case with the stormwater improvements and the overall landscaping improvements, particularly given the condition of the property as it's been allowed to fall into, I guess they call it deferred maintenance.
Deferred maintenance, yes. Good term. With regard to the benefits of what you were saying before with regard to the stormwater improvements that are being made to the property, and that also the mitigation during construction, But wouldn't you also look at the extent of tree removal too, as sort of another factor that we look at from the standpoint of impact to steep slopes?
Sure, yep, and to that end, I wasn't directly involved with the landscape plan, but I did have some conversation with the landscape designer, knowing he wouldn't be here. And one thing he did point out is that along with that deferred maintenance, it also applies considerably to the trees that are on property. There are a number of, I think there were Norway maples, which are considered invasive. They overshade and drown out any other growth that's beneath it. So a number of those are of that type. There's crab apples, and I forget what the other one was, but these were inventoried early on, and there was a tree survey done by an arborist who rated the majority of the removals are over on this westerly line, and nearly all of those were in poor or bad condition according to the arborist review. For those reasons, because they were crowded out, there was nothing managed or maintained about it. It just sort of grew up, and that's what you got. And, you know, like, for example, the crab apples, it was cited that they tend to get malformed when they don't have the right sun, so there's a little bit of that. And so there was some thought that went into all of this in terms of the replacements and the removals of the trees.
Okay.
There aren't a lot of trees in the slope itself. There are a few, but not many.
Okay. Looking on the easterly side, the extent of the walls that sort of go towards that easterly property line, there's another tree being removed on that side. Do you know what type of tree that is?
I do not know what type of tree that is.
Purpose for
No,
my question.
the one that's very proximate to that wall return, yeah,
where
I
it
don't
turns
know.
90 degrees, yeah. The purpose for my question is, are we looking at why do you need to extend the walls that far over, in that extent of steep slope is moving? Is there a purpose for that? It's obviously to get more use out of the yard, but yet, on balance, are we impacting the trees along that common property line?
Yeah, I was just looking to see if it was indicated on the landscape
Yeah, I was
plan,
looking for that
what kind of
myself.
tree that is. Yeah, no, I mean, it's,
If we can.
sure.
What is that, the 12-inch tree?
No, it's along the easterly property line. There's one tree there that's 10 inches, I believe, that's being removed. I just don't know the condition of that tree.
Yeah, I honestly don't know either.
Okay.
I'd have to look at it.
The purpose for that question was, are we moving the walls over so far that we're impacting trees and therefore the benefit of the trees along the adjacent property lines? But obviously, the landscape plan proposes new landscaping on that side of the property as well. So that does offset that impact, but yet we always try to preserve the trees if we can on that side. And then lastly, with regard to the pool location, why is it here? That's one of the usual investigations we go through when we're doing steep slope analysis, is why is the pool proposed at this location impacting the steep slopes? Is there any other locations that we're exploring?
Well, I mean, no, I would say there isn't. Because if you look at the existing conditions in general and said, well, this is, you know, the starting point, I mean, you could put it down here, but then it's in a non-conforming location, it's closer to the neighbor, and then how do you access it? So there's a variety of problems with trying to place it in that location. The existing pool is kind of like where the driveway is now, so that wouldn't really, and I assume that's why that existing pool is there in the first place. They didn't want to get involved in restructuring the backyard whenever that was built.
Right.
I don't know
The pool
when
could
that was
be-
built.
Looking at the landscape plan, the pool could be where the lawn area is beyond the driveway at that location. But then, how would that relate to the function of?
Yeah, well, that
the
was,
feed to the
that
house?
was part of it, and we did discuss that a little bit early on. And, you know, what I found a lot of times, homeowners, and I haven't had a pool myself, but I understand from enough conversations, one of the concerns about this type of location is a lot of parents like to have line of sight to the pool when their kids are out playing or the friends are over or what have you. And when you get it cut off by sort of being in a different location like that, it becomes something that most folks aren't really that comfortable with, is what I found. So that's sort of the downside of trying to put it there. But we did discuss it briefly and ruled against it.
And then with regard, with regard to 26 Argyle Court, they're house and their pool is on the left side relative to this property, correct?
Yeah, it's over
So
in
one of the
in
other
here.
considerations was having the pool on that side would also be closer to where the house is for the Kims. And where the pool is located is at the end of their driveway, correct?
Yes.
But there's a yard between, but that's the location away
Yes,
from the
yes,
house.
it's sort of to the left a bit, yes.
Okay. Just two other questions. With
Sure.
regard to where the pool is located and its proximity to the retaining walls, is there any surcharge that has to be worried about with that pool located so close to the walls?
Well,
at that location?
only if there's a breach in the pool, I would say.
Okay.
You know, the whole point of the pool is to maintain that integrity, so it would only be if there was a leak that developed.
Okay, thank you. So the wall doesn't have to be that, or reinforced in such a way that changes the wall's configuration?
No.
In your opinion?
No.
Lastly, regarding exterior lighting, do you know if there's any exterior lighting being planned?
I think there's some,
I'm sorry to ask you these questions.
there's some lighting that's planned, and that was a little bit of the discussion with the landscape designer, but it's, and a plan could be submitted, but it will be fully in conformance with conventional residential lighting and won't have any spillage or be in violation of Summit's rules in that regard. It's
Low
mostly
level.
safety and navigation.
Low-level lighting without any floodlights?
Yes.
Essentially, okay. I'm sorry, one last question we did have in our report. Regarding the AC units, you have them located on your plan on the westerly side of the building? The landscaping, at least the plan, the latest plan I had, which I don't think is the latest plan you had, does not show it on the landscape plan.
He acknowledged that to me, and that it needed, his plan needs to be updated.
Okay, thank you. Last question. Thank you. Great.
So wait, now that made me think of another thing. Where is the pool equipment going to be located?
I thought that would be coming, because I forgot to show it on the plan, and we talked about it, and I think right in this corner to the right of that porch, so just sort of uphill of the spa, up on the upside of that wall, we'll put it in that location. It's a conforming location, and we can easily screen it, and it still allows, you know, maintenance access through there.
Okay, thank you.
But that would be on an updated plan.
Okay, great. Board members, what questions do you have for Mr. Clark? Tom?
I have a question.
Allison, go ahead.
What, I was gonna ask about the pool location also. Where it is currently. One of the comments you just made was that, the new pools, you know, where the pool is with the existing house is not close to for a sight line from the house.
Right.
But where the pool's being proposed is even further. It's like down in the back corner of the property, downstairs, so I
Yeah,
don't-
but in terms of the living spaces and line of sight, it's much better located in that regard, and it's down lower, so you have sort of a vantage point on it.
You can't run there. I mean, you're not gonna be able to run out of the house. It's a lot further away if you had to, you know, hopefully you're at the pool while kids are in the pool and you're not at the house. If the house was reconfigured and the layout was set up differently, is it possible to have it leave the pool where it is currently located, and have the living areas of the house face that way?
Why don't we have, we're gonna call the architect.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't
That would
involved
be,
with the,
acceptable. Let Steve Kowalski answer that question.
Before we do that, let's see if we have any other questions from the board for Mr. Clark.
I have some questions as to whether or not this house is a knockdown.
Can you speak into the microphone? Mr. Chanchuli, microphone.
I had some questions from the very beginning, whether this house was able to be rehabilitated or knocked down. And that's why I had requested for the,
Mr.
structural
Douglas.
engineer, yeah.
We do have a demo permit is now in the offing, so there will be a demo permit issued with regard to this property. But out of respect for Mr. Gianchuli, we brought Mr. Douglas here to respond to that question.
Don, go ahead.
Mr. Clark, if you could help me out here. The pool is at what elevation? 4, whatever.
403?
Okay, and then for lack of a better description, where the new pool equipment's gonna be located, what's the elevation there?
About 407, 407 and a half.
So you said the pool's at 403 or 400?
403.
So what's the difference in elevation there? Just
About
like
4
4
feet.
feet?
Yeah. Yeah, that.
Because on here, it says 406, excuse me, 408,
Yeah, that's.
down to 400.
Yeah, so this will be closer to the wall than where that 408 is, so it's, it's sloping down in
So
there.
is- So is there,
So it's maybe 407 and a half.
so is there an 8-foot elevation difference between those stairs that are going down from I guess, the west side yard? Are they going down 8 feet?
I'm not sure which stairs you mean.
Well,
There-
I don't have the new plan, number one, but number two,
So on the right side, it's a graded area, and there's a wall arrangement, so you could
Yeah, so
get
my
down
plans-
there with
I
equipment
don't have the
and,
new plan, so you removed these stairs on the old plan.
yes, there's no stairs on the right side now.
Never mind.
No, so it's 4 or 4.5 feet higher than the pool.
Okay.
May I approach?
Yes,
My
please.
I was looking for the newer plan, but all I
Yeah, I
asked
don't
was
have
that.
it either.
Does anybody have the new
I don't
plan?
have it either.
I have it.
It's funny, I didn't get the structure. Where do you go? Pick it up here.
This is a revision date.
Yeah, it's by the title block usually, just to the left of it.
Nope.
This is 527.
Right, the date is 5/27, and then to the left of my signature is the revision blocks, the revision
This is
dates.
the right one.
Which one's that?
This is
Oh, over here to the left, I'm
line
sorry.
28.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's not that one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I probably have it here.
So, and just to continue with some questions, is there any drainage on the west side of the house? Any drainage lines that have to be?
Well, not along that side of the house itself. What I have the contours running parallel with the house, so the drainage pattern is such that any water that falls in there is mostly going to move towards our pool area in the back. So I'm not pushing water to the neighbor. And then, but I mean, water runs, I mean, rain falls in there now. It's going to be landscaped to the extent if it gets down to the pool area. Once it gets down into here, I have this curtain drain that picks up any, excess runoff if you have a, extreme storm. But there'll be a little bit of runoff on that right side that's, unmanaged, so to speak.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Tom.
Current, yes.
Has any demolition occurred yet on the property?
Not to my knowledge. Not the last time I was out there, except the fence broke up to go do the test pit.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Curran.
I have a couple of questions. One is, what is the maximum height of that wall on the corner there, the little
This little-
upside-down L, call
Yeah,
it?
the framing in the back, right? It gets to 6 feet, but, by the time it's here, it's 3 feet. So, it's the returning to grade thing that we were talking about.
So if there's a 6-foot drop on the neighbor's side, on the other side, right? Basically, on the other side, the neighbors are going to see a wall that's like 6 feet high there, essentially. And so the screening that's proposed for the neighbors is really
Yeah, it's
on
in
the upper
between
side of
those
the
two
wall.
walls.
Right, but on the outside of the wall, there's no screening because there's really
Yeah, I mean,
no
unless
room
they
for it.
plant some vines or something, it could be done.
That's what's been proposed, and again, we don't have our landscape architect, but that's the same question that the Go-Bands, actually in their review, had raised, and they wanted to make sure that that was screened. So the landscape architect has been charged with making sure that that wall, which it's 6 foot at one point, and then again it goes to grade.
Right.
So it's not a 6 foot all the way across, it's 6 foot at its highest point, and then goes to 0 feet.
Yeah, understood. And then I had a question about the pool fence. I guess technically, that's considered pool safety if you fence in your whole backyard, but the question, practically speaking, is if you do have children and you're worried about the line of sight, to Ms. Chifo's point, you are not getting to that pool very fast. And I mean, with all these tiers here, I'd almost rather see a fence around the pool, or put the pool somewhere else, like near the driveway, where you could fence that in and not worry about what is happening when you're not out looking. Because it's not only swim season, it's all year long when they can run over the top of the pool or whatever it is.
Yeah,
It
I
looks a
understand your
little
point
concerning.
completely. And the fall protection fence that is proposed on this plan serves part of that purpose. Bringing it around this way would finish that off. I guess what I would say is that that's an available option for any owner, including this owner, to install at their preference.
Well, it's a lot of tiers being put in here to eliminate steep slopes, so it is not the same as any pool and any owner. It's not the same as a pool where you don't need a variance, because there are significant slopes here. You have a lot of walls putting up. The access to this pool is, this is not an easy access
Yeah,
to
but
get to if you're
after
in the
this
house.
is done, there won't be a steep slope there.
But because you have created all these walls and tiers, and you have to go through, down a set of stairs and across to get to the pool. I personally see that as concerning with the approach here to the steep slopes, that this is not really, it seems a little hard to access in a pinch, put it that way.
Okay.
The pool that's there now is right next to the house. It's up.
I mean, there's a possibility of putting a fence around the whole pool, that too.
Would the
or Put
owners-
the pool somewhere else,
Would
right?
the owners contemplate a safety cover, the ones that can hold the elephants?
Well, I think that's an ordinary thing that most people do install these days. I've often seen a lot of people are going back to rectangular pools in part for that reason, because they can flip a switch and the cover comes right out. And, I have friends who have a pool like that and they cover it, frequently, when they're not using it. I don't know if it's for safety reasons or if it's more to just keep
My
it
in-laws
clean.
keep it that way unless we're in the pool for
Yeah.
young kids for that exact reason. And my 90-pound dog has run across it. So,
Yeah,
Mr. Gelban wants to respond to that, and you're still sworn in.
Yeah.
Just
We will absolutely have the covered pool. Yeah, that
the elephant cover?
100%.
the 90-pound dog-proof cover.
All my siblings have it. We will have it as well.
Great. Thank you. All right. Any other questions?
Just
Mr.
one
Clark.
question. Are we preserving stormwater jurisdiction for 2 years?
Hasn't come up yet, but I'm guessing that's a request to do so.
I'm surprised it hasn't. I would suggest that.
Mr. Weber, any?
no objection.
Okay, great.
I just, for curiosity's sake.
Thank you, Mr. Fesca.
I'm sorry, for curiosity's sake, where the proposed spa is, maybe you're just missing stairs, or is that, when I come down from the proposed porch, I come down those stairs, then what's this, is this black solid wall that's
Right,
in?
so the sort of the back side of that spa, the pool side of the spa, that wall, it's 2 feet high. So I'd call it like a seat wall. So on this side, the spa's raised up 2 feet, and on the other side, it's at grade.
Okay, then what's the black line, the solid black line to the left of the 404.7, what is that?
This?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the wall that manages the grade change between this area and the patio that's up above, because the patio's up on the first floor.
so I
it's-
want, is there a set of stairs missing, or am I reading this wrong?
Well, the stairs come down here.
So you have to go down those 411.8?
Yeah, this area here is accessed from the basement. So there's like a little bit of a walkout right in there.
So
then
you're
I-
saying the proposed porch has a basement access underneath it?
What's labeled as a proposed porch right here
Yeah.
has basement
Right,
underneath it.
so I come
That's
out of
right.
those stairs, I turn to the left, go down those stairs,
Yeah.
turn to the right, and then if I want to go to the spa, I have to go to the right, to the left, and then up the stairs to the spa. Is that what it looks like?
Well, I think if you wanted to go to the spa, you could walk out and just get in the spa.
I mean, is it on that
Or
grade there?
you could walk down the 2 feet of the wall and then go over to the spa and then climb up the 2-foot wall if you wanted to, or sit on it and flip your legs over.
That's what's confusing. So the spa is at the same level as the walkout from the basement?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's what I
yes.
couldn't figure out.
I'm
what
sorry,
that-
I didn't-
What
I-
that black wall, to me, the black
Yes.
line represents a wall.
So it's level with the top of that
Okay,
wall
I
that's
got you.
there, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Any questions from the public for this witness? Yes, sir, please. Sir, you're going to have to come up and,
I'm still going to be able to make a statement. right?
absolutely.
Okay, just chilling. I had a quick question. So earlier
Sir,
in the discussion.
could you just give us your name, spell your last name and your address?
Sure. My name is Denny Kim. Last name is Kim, K-I-M. I live at 26 Argyle Court, which is the property right behind.
Ask away.
Only quick question. I thought earlier in the discussion you mentioned that was a 10-foot wall, but then you said it was a 6-foot. I just want to make sure which one it was.
This wall we were talking about here, and it starts at 6 feet and it goes down to 0 there.
Okay.
And then this wall has its own height, which starts at 8 feet and goes down to 0.
Got it.
So again, as it chases up the grade there, it gets smaller and smaller as you go.
Right. But then for my property, which is even lower than that, it's going to
Right.
be much higher than 6, 8 feet.
Yes, which
It's
is,
gonna be
why
very
we're
high.
introducing buffering in there and trying to keep that so that it's not an aesthetic issue from your property.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim.
Just so I'm confident in what I'm thinking about, from the corner of the lowest retaining wall to the top of the other retaining walls, 14 feet overall height?
So the bottom is
That
386
would-
here, up to 394. So it's 12 feet.
So for perspective, how tall are you?
I'm 6 feet,
So it's twice your height.
yes.
So that's all the grading you're gonna do in that backyard, is at least 12 feet, maybe more.
Well, it's more when you start coming up to where the house is, because that's what you're faced with.
So what's
That's-
the overall grading difference?
So the existing slope down here, we're at about 387, and at the back of the house, you're at 410. That's what's existing.
Twenty-something feet, 33. I'm not.
Yeah, now
I
you
didn't
see why,
pass algebra. I wasn't
now
that
you see
fast.
why there's walls.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
I have a question that is perhaps better directed to the architect who's coming up
Yes.
on material deconstruction. Is that?
Yeah, it's definitely better for him.
Since it was introduced, I thought. But coming to one of the environmental issues that pertain to hydrology and water management for Mr. Clark, seems to me there's a lot of effort to make sure that water doesn't run onto another property, and you're very skillful at doing that, and there's a lot in materials that show that. In the last presentation, which I think you're also working on, there was some discussion of permeable paving. I wonder if you or your clients have given that some consideration, given the extent of the paved areas.
We did talk about it, and I think there's some openness to that for sure. We hadn't reached a conclusion on it, but we definitely did discuss it. I think they'd probably be agreeable to doing something like that with the driveway.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
They would be amenable to that. As to the extent of the driveway and the permeability, that would be something that they would have to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, there's different products out there too. I've actually run across a product that I was pretty impressed with the other day. It's called Hydro Pavers. The guy, I talked to the guy who runs the company. He's down in Florida. I've been very impressed. He's got a lot of videos that document, how this stuff operates, and it looks like water falls on these and doesn't run off. It doesn't run off, which a lot of times that's what's sold, but that's not always how it ends up. A lot of the brick pavers, but this product was pretty good. And I think to your earlier point that you made, I think you had referenced before, having some credit in the ordinance for that would certainly encourage that in a way that it doesn't now. Obviously, it's a great thing to do, so is geothermal, but there's cost involved with all those things. And so if there's an offset to it that nudges people towards that, I think it would help. In Madison, as a reference, they have used brick pavers and sand, and they give a 20% credit. So they count it at 80% impervious.
All right, well, before we rewrite the zoning code,
Yeah, no,
let's
I'm
hear
not
from the
trying to do that.
architect.
I'm just responding to a comment that was made before about it.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
There's a couple of questions, Mr. Chairman, that if I could have a moment to speak with the architect, do you think we can take a break?
So why don't we take a 5-minute break then? All right, back in session. Mr. Weber, based on the variances requested, unless you feel there's a truly compelling need to bring up the architect, I think we're okay as a board, continuing on.
Oh, I understand, Mr. Chairman, and we can avoid bringing the architect up. There was the opportunity to speak about putting the fence around the pool, and as a result, I'd like to mark this exhibit, and it also shows the area that's available for permeable pavers. So if I can have this marked. Pen.
So this will be A1.
Chairman, I just have a question for you.
Yes,
Does that
Mr.
eliminate questions then about the location of the pool? If we don't call-
Isn't that the purview of the landscape architect and the client?
Well, it might be, I
Yeah.
thought it was the
That
architect.
the architect's gonna be able to shed light on that,
Okay.
unless Mr. Weber
Take my pen back.
would.
And just one point of clarity here.
Yes.
We are talking about one variance for steep slopes.
That's right.
At this point.
That's right.
That's it.
Yes.
Yes.
This whole area for permanent fence would wrap around this area.
What's being distributed now is the adjustment to the pool fence, so that there's a pool fence that's now going to be tailored to the pool rather than around the whole yard. So in response to the Vice Chair's observation, there's the ability to do that. Likewise, with regard to Board Member Bell's request for additional permeable pavers, that has been designated as the area outside the garage, which is shown in hatched red on A1.
And please note, too, that I talked to Mr. Chanchuli. We do not need to hear from your structural engineer at this time, but please understand during our deliberations, I would encourage Mr. Chanchuli to please fully avail this board of his thoughts on the possible demolition of this home. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. may
Yes,
I ask
Mr.
a
Bell.
May I ask a question of Mr. Weber? or
Yes,
perhaps the
please,
client?
please, go ahead.
In the absence of the architect coming up, it's not necessary, as you're saying. I love the word deconstruction and the salvage value of some of the materials, the masonry, certainly the slate roof, should, I hope, offset, any additional demolition care that is given. That said, did the client or the team, let's say, give any thought to reusing the slate, given the relatively similar roof area, at least exposed to the street, rather than just allowing it admirably to be used for another project somewhere else, but wouldn't have to move it anywhere else?
We did, I don't know if anything's.
Oh, I don't want to have to swear somebody else in. It just is, it's a question in the form of a suggestion,
Let me make it,
Or the other
put
way.
it this way. The board has a right to make recommendations to the Department of Community Services in connection with the demolition of the site. As a result, I think that would be appropriate for the board to have as a condition of approval, a recommendation to the Department of Community Services that steps will be taken to utilize the slate, the windows, and the stonework.
Great.
All right.
Perfect.
And I understand that it's only about the steep slope, but
What type of roof is proposed on the house right now? Is it slate?
I can represent on behalf of the Galvans, it is slate.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.
It's a simulated Da Vinci slate.
Mr. Weber, if you could reiterate, so we don't have to swear in Mr. Kowalski, that would be great.
It's a simulated Da Vinci slate.
You're the best. Thank you.
sounds like an architect.
All right. So with that, I'm going to open it up to public comments. Yes, sir, please. Neighbors welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, I will swear you in before you get started. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter, the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And just one more time, your name and spell your last name.
Name is Denny Kim. Last name is Kim, K-I-M.
Thank you.
And sorry, I'm going to read this because I'm terrible at
No,
making
please,
statements.
Mr. Kim, take your time.
Okay. Well, hello, my name is Denny Kim. I live at 26 Argyle Court. My wife, Jung Soo, and I have 3 kids. First, let me thank you, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, and the rest of the board for your dedication to our wonderful town. It's my first time participating in the zoning board process. I'm grateful for your professionalism and your commitment for safekeeping our town that we all love, obviously. Also, just wanted to welcome the Galvins to Summit, or actually, it sounds like you already moved here. I thought you moved here from Short Hills. It's actually my first time meeting them, although I believe my wife briefly chatted with Mrs. Galvin, which is part of the reason why I'm here this evening. To be clear, we're not looking to interfere with or influence what the Galvins decide to do on their property. After all, it's their property. I'm not going to comment. And I'm not going to comment on the fact that a large 20-foot wall apparently is being approved to be built in my backyard. But I felt the need to make this statement at this hearing because I've been advised to make this statement for the record. So for the record, I just wanted to say that up to this date, we at 26 Argyle Court have had no issues with flooding on our property or issues related to water runoff from the Galvin's property of 45 Prospect Hill to ours at 26 Argyle Court. However, given the steep grade of the Galvin's backyard and the proposal to make significant changes to their backyard that borders ours, I fear that the plans on their property will lead to water damages to mine. We've witnessed other construction happening on Prospect Hill that has directly affected our neighbors' property on Argyle Court in the form of flooding. It's been very heavy flooding, which I would describe as Niagara Falls flooding, on rainy days. And we hope and expect that the same won't happen to our property. But if there is, we believe that there should be accountability involved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kim.
So, Mr. Kim, to address this point, I just want to note, previously, a board member asked about a condition for stormwater jurisdiction. So typically in these types of cases where stormwater can become an issue, we retain stormwater jurisdiction for a period of 2 years after the completion of construction of the improvements. So if you do experience any sort of adverse stormwater effects on your property during construction or for a period of 2 years after, please bring it to the city's attention. Please, it will be referred to the board. If it's an issue that's being caused by this construction, it will be referred back to the board. We'll bring them back for another hearing to address that situation. So
Great, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Certainly.
And the Galvins have no objection to that as a condition of approval.
Okay, great.
Mr. Bell, I have a question about, Mr. Paul. 2 years from when the variance,
Completion of improvements.
the completion, okay. So during the time?
During construction and then
okay.
2 years thereafter.
Thank you.
So I guess that just does prompt one question for me. That, given Mr. Kim's comments about how there is no flooding currently, he hasn't experienced it, I think that's very important to note because during construction, sometimes that does change. That can be sort of the worst time before the improvements are put in. And I guess I'm wondering what will be done to mitigate any runoff to Mr. Kim's property during the construction? 'Cause I
believe
feel like
that
that's a,
Mr.
Clark
Clark
had
testified
testified
that,
that there would be steps that would be taken
it was a
during
silt fence,
construction.
right? But
Well,
that,
there would be a super silt fence during
but that doesn't keep the
construction.
water really out. It keeps the dirt.
Yeah, what happens is a phone call comes in, and then you have to look and see what's the source of that. Most of the time, it's inadequate maintenance of those measures, but sometimes supplemental measures are required. So, for example, I've been on sites where then we had to install a second layer of silt fence that's before, you know, a disturbed or sloped area, and then maybe some hay bales in there to help bolster the impacts and distribute it. But you're right that construction is the hard part. That's always the hard part. And the maintenance of that is important. So a lot of it depends on who's running the job and how it's being maintained. You know, and you can never really predict how these things will play out, depending on conditions, depending on rainfall events that happen. But there are a number of things that we can do, and it's been my experience that these things are always examined closely, and that one silt fence that's down gets a phone call and, you know, a letter from soil erosion, and then you got to correct that. They try to do it as an inspection basis so that it doesn't get to the point where there's actually a problem.
Yeah, but the silt fence and, the silt fence really is not designed to hold water back, though.
Well, it's
More for. runoff,
designed to
so
keep,
Erosion. and-
yeah, soil from moving
but not
off-site.
actual, like sheeted water, it's.
Yeah, I mean, there's a limit to what we can do about that, you know, because you don't have your stormwater settled and
Yeah, well,
final
one of the
and,
things you mentioned, like the hail bays, the bales of hay, that,
yeah, that can help.
Yeah.
That can help. I mean, it's promising that he doesn't have problems now, so that actually bodes well for the construction process, which means that there isn't a systemic and normal issue that's happening on a regular basis. So to me, that means it should be relatively straightforward and simple to control, not that it will be harder to control. But it's been my experience, there's a lot of eyes on all these projects. There's inspectors out all the time. Soil erosion stops at random, it seems to me, and does site inspections to make sure things are the way they're supposed to be.
In terms of the construction scheduling, Mr. Clark, would you say that the dry wells are installed earlier or later in the process?
Normally later. It can depend on the project and on the site. Sometimes it's functionally not possible to put them in right away or early on in the project. And even if you do, often the dry wells are picking up a lot of the roof area or the driveway area with a drain.
No
But you don't
roof to
even have
pick up.
gutters on the house.
Right, right.
You know, that's a lot of the problem, is that when you don't have gutters on the house, then there's a limit to practical control. You can do some things, but, you know, I mean, if you get a giant rainfall or 2 days in a row, it affects the site like everywhere else, except you have less control over it.
If I can, there was
Thank you.
an application that this board had on Lennox where the issue had arisen and they were able, again, subject to that particular site, get the dry wells in earlier. So it is something that can be done depending, as Mr. Clark puts it, the site and the circumstances.
Yeah, that's right. And I worked on that site on Lennox, and that's exactly what happened. And so we shifted up the sequence of work a bit. So not unlike this, we had sort of an area we were leveling out, although it wasn't as steep, and there was a wall in the back with an infiltration drain. We just built that much earlier in the process.
Okay.
So if that's warranted, and that's, you know, I mean, I'll be out there a number of times, I'm sure, and as I said, there are many eyes on the project, so I'm usually the first call that comes in after something is noticed,
All right, well,
and then we'll look at it.
perhaps it'll be discussed during deliberation, so thank you, Mr. Clark. Great. Who would like to begin? Oh, Ed, please.
Mr. Chairman, before you go
Yes.
into deliberations, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. I was talking with Mr. Clark at the break, and there is a issue of this one retaining wall that's at the back corner of the swimming pool. That retaining wall, as was mentioned during testimony, is 8 foot high. If you're having a protection fence on top of the 8 foot high wall, it's going to exceed the 10 foot height maximum that we have. So I think that is incumbent, that we include that in this application, relief from that requirement. It's a small area, that small corner, but it just became apparent to us as we heard the testimony.
What would be the total height? That would be
12 feet.
12 feet.
All right, so before we begin, I guess, Andy, if you could run us through the conditions and the number of votes?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
So quite a few conditions on this one. First is compliance with those conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum. Second is that the applicant shall attempt to maintain the existing large beech tree and white pine tree on the property. Third, a super silt fence shall be utilized during construction. Fourth, that revised plans shall be submitted to confirm the locations of the HVAC and pool equipment. Fifth, the board shall maintain stormwater jurisdiction for a period of 2 years after completion of the improvements. And sixth, and my final noted condition, is that the plan shall be revised to reflect a pool fence in the area immediately around the pool and for an area of permeable pavers as roughly submitted as Exhibit A1. Here, we're only dealing with C variances, being both the steep slope as well as that recently noted excess of the combination of the retaining wall and fence. So only 4 votes are required to approve the application.
Thank you, Andy.
So, I'm sorry, the fence, that's another variance though, or that we're adding
Any
in?
excess, the combination of retaining wall plus the fence on top, anything in excess of 10 feet would require a variance. So that's what's being
So
added.
that's,
So the area that,
yeah.
any excess of 10 feet in that corner.
but essentially that's a second, so that's a second, a variance we're
Variance,
adding in
yes.
with the steep slopes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. With that, let's begin our deliberations. Who would like to go first? Allison.
Okay. I'm just a little confused about this whole project. So the homeowners bought a piece of property that they weren't gonna, they didn't buy the house because they bought the property because they were gonna knock down the house anyway. And there's no variances needed for the property, but just for the steep slope for building the pool. Just wondering why you just go buy a piece of property that's flat. He says you're knocking down the house anyway. I'm just very confused on why this property, if you're not buying the house and you're buying the land, and the land's not at the right slope to put your pool and your spa. I mean, that's really my only comment. I'm very confused.
Thank you. Mr. Chanchilli, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have a sort of a sensitive spot about tearing down these types of homes in Summit that, to me, seem completely restorable. We had a case right before this one with Dave Rosen, and I've worked with Dave on projects, and I know he would come into a house like this and turn it into a gem. Combining all that with, going bigger, disturbing more steep slopes, it's a bit of a problem for me.
Thank you.
I do just want to note, before we go further in deliberations, as to both of those points, keep in mind that we are weighing the application as it stands in front of us. What any other hypothetical properties or other applications are not before us and are not something we should be considering here. And I know we've had this discussion before, but the applicants do have the ability to apply for a demolition permit. It's not something within this board's purview to prevent them from demolishing a structure on the property, so it's not necessarily a detriment that we can consider that they're not maintaining that structure. We may have seen it as a benefit that they were maintaining a historic property or a historic structure on the property, but just keep those standards in mind as we're deliberating this.
Thank you, Andy. Don?
Yeah, I'm just struggling a little bit with the amount of steep slope that's being disturbed. I'm really not satisfied with there hasn't been any other proposals for where the pool could be located. I think there are other areas, but that's just my opinion. I'm not the expert when it comes to architecture or landscape architecture, things like that. I'm just very disturbed about the amount of steep slope that's being disturbed. Basically, it is a vacant lot, right, or will be a vacant lot, so you can start from zero. While the house construction doesn't bother me, the amount of steep slope that's being disturbed is really a little bit of a problem for me. I know there were other cases where we've kind of all we felt the same way. But in this particular case, I just think it's a lot of steep slope that's being disturbed, and I'm not sure that I can support this application.
Thank you, Don. Tom?
Yeah, I'm still struggling with this, but I'll tell you where I stand right now. It is a very large steep slope variance, that is certainly true. And just looking at that in a vacuum, it is effectively being managed, according to expert testimony, that the stormwater management will effectively address any concerns caused by the steep slope variance. So I'm trying to put that aside. In terms of the other aspects of the application, the forester is okay with the landscape plan despite the removal of almost all existing trees. The applicant is putting a lot of effort to put an effective replacement landscape plan. I like the deconstruction aspects of it. I like the reuse. I like the commitment to perennial pavers. I like that they're moving the fence to be more closer to the pool. I think that's a positive change. You know, the steep slope does present a hardship. I mean, if no steep slope variance is granted there, that part of the property is essentially unusable. So I think that's a hardship that has to be considered in whether we approve or disapprove that variance. And whatever negative aspects it has, they are addressing it so it's a positive benefit, which in the long run may improve. I mean, I know the neighbor said there's no water drainage problem now, but the stormwater management, once the steep slope is done, may actually create a better situation than there's now. Not that there's a problem now, but it may even be less likely to be a problem going forward. But I am concerned about the extent of the steep slope, so I'm probably going to flip a coin when we're done. I'm not quite sure how to commit to this yet.
Understood. Thank you. Mr. Bell?
I was struck in the opening remarks by the client about what was said about this is your forever house. You know, in this town and in this world, people on their property have a lot to say about how they live and what they need to do. We're talking about steep slope, and every application I reviewed on behalf of the Environmental Commission, I would raise the issue of why so much steep slope. And usually the answer, particularly during the pandemic, is because we're not going to go anywhere else. We want to be able to play or entertain or be in the backyard and not at an angle. I don't buy it. I think I would just give up the swimming pool if I were the homeowners. You know, it's not the forever swimming pool. It's the forever house. And not do the steep slope because, again, I won't claim to be a hydrologic expert, but I would bet that a lot of the stormwater retainage is through the trees that have to be removed because of the steep slope, not because of anything other than the root systems go when you move the earth around it. So that would be a question or a suggestion that if it's not fundamental to the enjoyment of the property or the house or therapeutic recreation, it would certainly make this board's task a lot easier.
Marion?
Yeah, I think echoing some of the concerns that other board members have noted, I think that I'm also struggling to find the public benefit here, given that the property owner downhill doesn't have any current flooding issues. The flooding issues that are being mitigated are really being mitigated because of the construction on the property, which is not a necessity. It's a want, not a requirement. Obviously, you're going to build a new house, and you're going to have roof leaders that are discharging, and all of that you will be required to manage the stormwater. But the rest of it is just extra, and it does. There are a couple other concerns, which when you add that 4-foot fence on top of a wall, 8-foot wall, that already the 6-foot lower wall with the 8-foot wall was presenting as 12 feet. Now you have a fence on top, that's 16 feet to the view of the other property owner that has to somehow be buffered. I don't think that has been addressed at all either, and I think that that's actually a kind of a public negative to the downhill neighbor. So I am definitely struggling with this one. I think I would have liked to see the pool closer in the area where it currently is so that less steep slopes needed to be impacted. I mean, I think the home design looks lovely, and it's, if you're going to tear the house down, it's nice to see that you're putting a nice house up. But that house conforms. So I do appreciate the effort that was made to make the house conform compared to the first application, but it's a lot of steep slopes. And like I said, I'm not sure that there's actually a a public benefit. It is definitely a benefit to the homeowner. I acknowledge that. So that's kind of,
If I can, Mr. Chairman?
no.
So,
Let's
Hold on,
get
Mr.
through.
Weber, let me speak if you don't mind.
Yes.
So, people need to understand that this is a very, very challenged lot. It is essentially a cliff. I don't know if we've seen an application, and granted that's not necessarily germane, but of a 20-foot drop. I know I've heard some of our board members mention the pool. I can't see a way where they don't have an application for a steep slope variance, whether or not they have the pool included. They're still having to tier out and work essentially the entire width of their lot because of the hardship of this massive hill. One of the benefits that I moved here is for the community, is to foster family. I walk this neighborhood, I see kids jumping on trampolines, and they cannot use that in their backyard. So for me, I can see just the pure hardship of this application, whether or not they're putting in a pool or terraces or play areas, they're going to have to be disturbing these slopes. There's no question about that. So I know we keep going back and forth on this, but in my mind, I can't see a simpler way for them to approach this and them to be part of this community unless they go forward with something like this.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Feskins has convinced me. I mean, I think as I alluded to earlier, that without a steep slope variance, that backyard is unusable. So, you know, I think if we get to a vote on this, I think I'd reluctantly vote in favor, but it would be reluctantly, but I think Mr. Feskins convinced me.
There's no asterisks in our votes.
Yeah, I know. It's either yes or no, I know.
Mr. Curran, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to get to the justification for relief here, and I agree. I don't necessarily see a public benefit. If anything, we've heard a concern from a neighbor, which we take very seriously. Not that he was opposed, just a general concern like any neighbor would be when that type of construction's going on. You know, thinking about the unique features of the property, like, I understand it, but I do think the location of the pool exacerbates it, and I do think there are some options that it'd be great to hear or have heard that they were explored, maybe where the existing pool was, et cetera. So, you know, I'm still considering.
If I can jump in again, I know we've had concerns about the lack of a public benefit. Mr. Feskins also pointed out that they're asserting not just benefit versus detriments, they're also asserting that this condition in the rear yard is a hardship. So either way, if they show that the existing slopes on the property are in fact a hardship, or if they were to show a benefit, that's the positive criteria that you have to weigh, and then you have to compare that as to the negatives, you know, any detriments that would present itself from this application. So either one is sufficient to meet the positive criteria. I don't want us to get pigeonholed into thinking they have to show a benefit if you found that they show a detriment, a hardship on the property.
And I think they've demonstrated that. I agree completely with Mr. Feskins. I really don't love it when we start to debate about how people should use their backyard, right? It's not facing the street. The neighbor said he didn't have an issue with the wall so much as his concern was potential flooding, which we as a board, I think, do a good job of taking very seriously. And we've put in safeguards again with our jurisdiction for 2 years after the completion of the project. But also, it's incumbent upon us to rely on the testimony of experts like Mr. Clark, who spent 30 years perfecting the art of stormwater mitigation. And he's telling us that he's solved this issue on this site. And I take him at his word for that. And I think that based on the hardship, based on the fact that they have told us that they can manage this stormwater and that we can provide usability to their site, to their backyard, which I believe is a benefit in terms of safety for the family to be able to use it in a manner that's not dangerous, like on the side of a 20-foot hill, then I think that's worth consideration. And I am in favor of this application.
And just to add to that, I mean, I think in the years I've been here, I don't think we've ever had a Mr. Clark application come back with a water problem later on after he said there wouldn't
Right.
be one. So
Knock
that's
on
good.
wood.
And we also have our own engineer who approved of the water management plan and seems to think it's adequate or more than adequate, or I forget exactly what the testimony was or the comments were, but yes, I take comfort in that too.
Great. With that, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Jessica, can you call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Zahn,
I'm reluctant, but yes.
Can I ask a question? Who seconded it?
Mr.
Is
Feskis.
Mr. Feskins voting?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Second.
All right, Mr. Kieran.
Mr. Kern.
Just didn't want that on the record the wrong way.
Good catch, Tom.
Mr. Yuka,
Yes.
Mr. Malay,
No.
Mr. Nelson,
No.
Mr. Curran,
Yes.
Ms. Chifo,
No.
Chairman Liketts.
Yes.
It's 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, good luck. All right. Last hearing, I told you guys we'd get you in. 19 Oxbow, and let the record show that Ms. Zahn is recusing from this application. Hi, welcome.
Thank you for seeing us. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's true. I was like, okay.
Something dawned on me that
If you want to wait 30 seconds till
I thought there was something else. And unfortunately, our.
we have less traffic coming through.
Yeah, I'll give you somebody.
So Mr. Ball is going to swear you in.
All right, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And one at a time, please state your name, spell your last name.
Alexandra Kilby, K-I-L-B as in boy, Y.
And John, J-O-H-N, Kilby, K-I-L-B-Y.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome. Why don't you tell us about your application?
Good evening, Chairman and the board. I moved into Summit 48 years ago on my second child. At that time on Oxbow, there were approximately 7
Ranch.
7 ranch-style homes on the north side of Oxbow. Since then, we are essentially the last ranch on the street. That's the history. Currently, I have my youngest daughter, Alexandra, living with us with her husband and 4 grandchildren. And they're growing pretty fast. So we need more room. Basically, if you look at the plans, it's quite conservative in many respects compared with the street that it currently is. And as a measurement, I'm told that approximately 19.47% of the allowable space that we could build on is being built on. So it's relatively conservative. We're lifting the one end to give a suite for my daughter's family, and hopefully when I get more senile than what I am, they will look after me. And that's
To be more specific, right now, we are asking for the variance for the side yard and the combined side yard, which are smaller than the required 17 feet due to a non-conforming wall attached to the existing house.
which was there when we came 48 years ago.
This wall, also, it's on the side, a driveway side, there's a slight yard and driveway on our neighbors, so we're not on top of their house. There's what?
38 foot.
Yeah, 38 foot, so there is a driveway separating the house, their driveway. This side of the house is sketched out. We'd like to move forward with the house. We'll be moving about 7 feet 8 inches forward, 5 feet 8 inches will be the building, and another 2 feet will be for a patio. And we feel that this will add to the appeal of the house and is in keeping with the other houses on the street. Right now, that's kind of, it's the wall there that we are having an issue with, because it is an existing wall. We noticed some concerns were about having to do with water runoff as well, and we're happy to work with the town engineer. We know a lot of our neighbors have had to put in like storm drains and such, just because unfortunately, the way Oxbow is, we do get runoff from above us. So we're happy to work and add in anything in our front yard or with drainage that we need to.
But the front yard essentially
sloped
goes
down.
down towards the road already. So from a layman's viewpoint, it shouldn't have too much of a problem.
And we noted that we did not include a basement, because we're not changing our basement area in any way. We really are just we're changing the main, we're going forward and up. So we're not doing any grading right now with the house. We're kind of literally forward and up.
And we're moving forward. The house is 2 levels with the stairway up in the middle of the house. We're bringing the house forward so that it's a one line facing the road essentially.
Yes.
If you look at the drawing.
And our setback, with the addition, will still be 46.9 inches, which is well within that 35 foot from the road, as well as just our total lot area,
Which is 19%.
and we'll still be well within everything that the city loves. Unfortunately, with the way the lot is shaped, it's kind of pod shaped, so it kind of, and that makes it difficult to kind of change how we do this addition without building on the existing wall.
Great. Board experts, what questions do you have for these witnesses?
So the only thing that I noticed on here was that their lot coverage is increasing by 426 square feet. So they're required to put in some kind of stormwater mitigation, which they already said that they'd be willing to do. So it would have to be subject to my review,
Okay.
And we're happy to do that.
So just have your engineer propose a storm water management system,
Okay.
and Ms. Raffet will review it, and then if it meets her very high standards, then we should be fine. Ed, any questions?
Yeah, just real quick, regarding the proposed addition, it's really coming to the building wall, the existing building wall that's on that side yard.
Correct.
Right, that same 12.8 feet.
Correct.
So therefore, you're not going any further than that line.
No.
So it's really just for the second floor aspect of that building wall in that area, with the exception in the front, you're coming out that additional 5 feet or so.
Correct.
Along the front, just to square off that. And from an architectural standpoint, that's just to relate it to the existing building and its floor plan and its relationship, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Otherwise, the FAR complies, and the overall coverage complies as well. So, okay, thank you. No further questions.
So Ed, just for our edification, they're increasing the degree of existing nonconformance?
Correct, because they're building out over top of the first floor.
Yes.
Plus extending into the front yard to square it off. That doesn't exist today, that
Right,
front extension.
that piece,
Yeah,
okay.
So it's that 5-foot square, essentially.
Understood.
that area.
Great, thank you. Board members, what questions do you have for these witnesses?
I have one.
Tom?
I assume you've read the city forester's report? And are you going to commit to
Yes.
replacing the foundational plant material?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
for
okay.
sure. That's in negotiations between us. What we
Yes.
put
Well, I
there.
know Mr.
You
Kilby,
know.
I know Mr. Kilby, so I know that'll be a good plan.
Excellent.
I have a question too.
Yes, Allison, please.
The Historic Preservation Commission, have you read theirs, where they recommended using traditional windows and cornice returns? And it asked, that said the materials are not noted on the drawings?
Oh, the
They're noted-
materials are.
Yeah, though indicated in the narrative, the
Sorry,
agency
sorry, I
recommends
have it.
a confirmation of the building materials.
Essentially, clapboard siding is envisaged. complementary to the neighbourhood. Yeah, that's what it said, item B.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? Any questions
I just
from?
have one
oh,
question.
Go ahead.
Because I didn't, when you guys looked at this, did you look at modifying the design so that you weren't bumping out or going any further, meaning stepping it? Like,
So we kind of have, like, the situation with the house right now, we have they transformed an attic
Okay.
when we were younger.
It's a dormer.
Yeah, and so really for the house to be able to have almost like a wing for them, so we're not all together so much, and us to have we're making it an actual second floor that would really fit our family. So there really was no other way.
so aesthetically, it'd look weird if you
It
did
would
it
look
that way.
super weird.
Good.
And so we kind of wanted to keep it, but we didn't want to tear the house down. We love the house. We've been there forever and we're gonna stay there so we just kind of wanted to keep it aesthetically as much as we could with the original house as well.
Right.
Great. Thank you. Any questions our numerous audience? Seeing none?
The street's really excited about it.
That is a good question. Have you talked to your neighbors
Oh,
at
yeah.
all?
We,
Okay.
since we've been there forever, we talked to the neighbors. We actually went and got their signatures. They're really excited because we're bringing the street down right now. So, no, they're really excited for us because they know it'll just benefit everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion?
Well, we want to stay in town, obviously. I like being here for the rest of my natural. And this seems the best solution all around in today's society with young people trying to get their own houses.
Perfect. Thank you
And I
so
want to
much.
see the kids grow up close.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, with that, Mr. Ball, what conditions and number of votes do we need?
All right, I've got a couple. First is compliance with the conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum. Second is that a stormwater management plan shall be submitted to the board engineer for review and approval. And third, as you already commented to, that the applicants will replace the foundation plant material in accordance with the city forester's recommendation. There are only C variances associated with the application.
Since we're doing stormwater, should we keep our customary 2 years?
If we think there's gonna be a concern.
I like consistency, just
All
makes
right.
it simple.
So similar to the last application,
Got it?
no issues? All right.
Even though nothing's similar.
No.
So, only C variances, so there are 4 votes required to approve the application.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. With that, who'd like to begin our deliberations?
You can move this one. You can move this one. You're voting.
Oh, great. I gave you a leading question on purpose. I like when people are looking at existing conditions and trying to reutilize buildings that fit into the neighborhoods. What I see here is a perfect logical reason of why you need to keep what is a non-conforming. Yes, you are enhancing that non-conformance, but otherwise, if you didn't do it, it wouldn't look right, and it would not be keeping with the neighborhood, it would not be keeping with a DRO. So in my mind, the benefit is outweighing any detriment to your exacerbation. At the end of the day, we want to keep you here in this community, and I think building a nicer home is beneficial for the entire street. Plus, we're going to get some stormwater management, so it's a win-win.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Vesson. Mr. Curran?
Also, just commend you for being conservative in what you're doing. This is probably one of my favorite presentations I think I've seen, and if I'm only so blessed to design a home with my daughter and her family at some point, it'd be amazing. But no, I think what you're doing makes perfect sense, and I can support you.
Anyone this side?
Nothing to add, all in favor.
Yeah.
All right, great. Yes, I agree with my colleagues. This is obviously going to improve the usability, the safety, and the fact that you're going to have 3 generations under one roof for a long time to come. tugs at my heartstrings, for sure. And it's clear that the design is in keeping with the spirit of the DRO, which is definitely a positive thing in my mind. So with that, I can absolutely be in favor of this application. Great. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll motion, since I get to vote this one.
Second, I'll second.
Ms. Sands?
Mr. Yuko?
Yes.
Mr. Malay?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes.
Ms. Chifo?
Yes.
Mr. Feskins?
Yes.
Chairman Liketz?
Yes. Good luck, guys.
Thank
Good luck, and God
Thank
bless
you.
for you all.
Yes. All right, we have 2 resolutions for approval and 1 minute for approval.
Up first, we have 30 Ridgedale Avenue, zoning board application number ZB-25-2306. The eligible voting members are Chairman Liketz, Vice Chair Zahn, Mr. Malay, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Yuko, and Mr. Feskins. Could we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Chairman Liketz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zahn,
Yes.
Mr. Malay,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Yuko,
Yes.
Mr. Feskins.
Yes.
Next up, we have 37 Webster Avenue, zoning board application number ZB-25-2313. We have the same eligible voting members. Could we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Chairman Liketz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zahn,
Yes.
Mr. Malay,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Yuko,
Yes.
Mr. Feskins.
Yes.
And next up, we have 221 Blackburn Road, zoning board application number ZB-25-2308. We have the same members that are eligible to vote. Could we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Chairman Liketz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zahn,
Yes.
Mr. Malay,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Yuko,
Yes.
Mr. Feskins.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then we have minutes for memorialization from October 6th, 2025. The eligible voting members are Vice Chair Zahn, Mr. Feskins, Mr. Yuko, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Curran, Ms. Chifo, and Mr. Chanchuli. Could we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Just a quick,
Yes,
just point.
Mr. Curran, please.
Are we, the first case with David Rosen, I forget the property right now, but
45.
yeah, if we can try to keep things more expedited, I think he probably could have cut that down by 20 minutes and just
We didn't
focused
even
on.
talk about the variances.
Was that,
He didn't even talk about the variances.
right,
So we need to cover that in the next meeting,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, my opening preamble clearly states that they should keep their
yeah.
testimony brief and concise,
I
but
don't know how we kind of keep them on target, but yeah. Maybe.
well, we can
Yeah.
hook them up with cattle prod and just buzz them if they
Buzz them.
don't get out of line.
Cool.
It's a good point, though. Thank you, Mr. Graham. We will try our best
Yeah.
to rein these people in. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.